cost of food.
Court come to order. All rise. Hello, Judge. Case number 1030, Jones versus Walden.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Jones, the case is relatively simple. You claim that you made a loan to somebody that you met, according to you, on a dating app.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't pay you back.
No, ma'am.
That's what the case is about. I have a few questions for you. You do?
Graphic design company.
Where is it located?
My business is located in Florida and Georgia.
Does it have a business address in Florida? Or is that your home address?
Address.
So you have a business in Florida that you work out of your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the same business in Georgia where you work. How many employees do you have in Florida? That's not an answer. How many employees do you have in Florida?
2.
Who? You and who else?
You and my mother.
You and your mother?
Yeah, she helps me.
So the 2 employees that you have in Florida are you and your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many employees do you have in Georgia?
Just me.
And what?
I work at a call center, working from home.
How long have you been working for this company?
For over a year, and I recently just switched to part.
December of 2020, were you working for the same company?
Yes,
Full-time or part-time?
full-time, but I'm no longer working with them.
You were working with them for a year.
Yeah.
When did you stop working for them?
I stopped working with them after we had the PTO dispute. I didn't get went to Miami for my surgery.
Let's not use letters. PTO is what?
For paid time off.
So you were working for them. This is what this is about. You met on a dating app. You mentioned to her, according to your complaint, that you were going to Miami on a vacation.
Well, yeah, but I didn't just come out and mention it. As we was dating, she was like, she had a secret for me that she had something. And then it all led to us being in Miami. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just reading from your complaint, sir. Your complaint says, I met Eve after a couple of weeks of dating. I mentioned that I had planned a trip to Miami for my birthday.
Absolutely.
Eva was getting a tummy tuck surgery in Miami that same week, so I volunteered.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Great. And you did go to Miami and you did have this tummy tuck surgery.
Yes.
You just told me that you had put into a job that you had had for about a year, paid time off.
Yes.
Time off because you were having this elective surgery.
Yes, 2 months before.
You put in for this time off in October or November because you were going for this elective surgery.
Yes.
During COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you were going there to celebrate your birthday. Absolutely. So far, we're terrific. So your boss turned down paying you for paid time off when you were going for your surgery. That's what you said.
Yes.
So the 2 of you discussed that you weren't going to have money for some bills, that you had your rent, et cetera. That is it. And according to what I read here from you, the defendant said that once she was turned down for the paid time off, she was going to disability and unemployment.
Yeah,
That's what you wrote.
Yeah.
Is that what she told you?
Yes.
Okay. And the nature of her disability?
I don't
Okay,
know.
no, you don't know. What was the nature of the disability?
Because I was recovering. So when I spoke with my boss 2 months prior.
You can't tell me what your boss told you.
Okay. Well.
You can't tell me what your boss told you.
Well, verbally, she had approved the PTO. So I never looked for it again.
They're telling me what she told you. You're not following me.
Okay.
Okay.
So when I got back from the surgery, when I got my direct deposit, mine there. So it was an issue.
Your pay wasn't in there because you went for voluntary surgery for a tummy tuck in Miami.
Yeah, but I had PTO that I had saved up.
So you had saved up those hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So they were hours you worked that you hadn't used?
Yes.
So far, so good. So far, I'm with you. Did you sue you paying you for those hours?
I didn't sue them. I took it up to corporate, and they told me that they couldn't do anything about it. That's when I decided to leave the company. I was stressed out because I couldn't pay my rent.
Just a second. So you quit?
Yes.
And you couldn't pay your rent. That's what this lawsuit is about, because you paid her rent, $920.
Yes.
$920.
$920.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the law is. It used to be if you quit your job, you didn't get unemployment, but that's not true anymore. Huh?
Yes, but I didn't get approved for the unemployment.
You didn't?
No.
So you didn't get any money?
No. That's when.
And you still haven't received any money from unemployment?
No.
You don't get any now?
No.
And you're working part-time now?
Yes. And I also, so I do that as well.
Okay. And you gave her the $920?
Well,
to pay her rent.
Absolutely, not right off
Just
bat.
I don't care right off audition. You gave her the $920.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And the $920, according to her, you gave her a small business administration loan that you had gotten from the government as a result of COVID.
Yes. What?
Yes.
Well,
That would be a yes. Says.
absolutely, but there's more details, that
Well,
go
there's no
part
more
of it.
details. I just asked you about your employees, and you said your employees are
My mom.
and your mom.
Yeah.
But she doesn't work with you in Georgia. That
No,
you work
not
there
all-
by
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure
she's-
it all
she
out.
sees-
I'm
she's just trying to help me flourish.
Yeah, she tries
She
to help
helps
you
me out.
flourish.
Yeah, she
she
picks
tries
up
to help
flyers
you
for me,
flourish,
things of
and
that
so does the government try to help you flourish. I just want to absorb it all. So you applied for a small business loan that was designed for people who had real businesses with real. Just a second. With real employees who rely on that money so that you could pay your employees during COVID. That's what, not correct?
That's exactly what I did.
That you paid yourself.
And my mom.
You paid, just a second. You paid yourself.
Yeah.
Says former girlfriend refuses to pay back a loan and the cost of food from her football party.
Okay. You had to pay yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a difference between getting a small business loan. So what I want to know is...
Well, it wasn't
Just
a loan.
up!
It wasn't a loan.
Wasn't a loan.
It wasn't a loan. It was they called it a...
Okay, now, when you do a grant, you have to apply for the grant, right? They don't just come to your door, knock at your door, and say, hey, you want a grant? You have to apply. I know
No,
that
I
that's
know you
the
know.
process.
I know you know. That would be nice if they
that's
did.
That's the
but
process.
yeah.
So you did apply for the loan.
Absolutely.
Okay, and when did you apply?
Right when COVID shut me down. I'm a graphic designer, entertainment business, so I'm just trying to gauge.
So you applied for it when? Okay, and when did it come through?
Took a while. A lot of oodles and
Oh,
noodles.
just a second. Give me a month.
When it hit, I do remember this because I was like July of last year.
July of 2020.
Keep in mind,
Just
John.
no, I don't have to keep anything in mind.
Well-
You just have to keep in mind answering my questions. In July,
Yes, ma'am.
between March and July,
Yes, ma'am.
how did you support yourself?
Actually, I got some cool family members that.
Just a second. So you relied on the kindness of friends.
Absolutely. No,
Isn't that
family,
what-
not friends. Family.
It's a family.
Family.
From the kindness of Blanche Dubois. Rely on the kindness of friends.
Hey, this.
And how much did our wonderful government July of 2020? Amount, that's a number. Is
It
not
was
an
under
answer.
5,000.
What?
Under 5,000.
How do you?
I don't want to lie to you. I don't know the exact number off bat, so that would be unfair if I said that. It's just under 5,000, to be honest.
Did they send you a second
I want a
payment?
second
20?
payment because I didn't need it.
Just a second. So you got the payment in July of 2020, and in December is when you paid for her rent, or was that in January of
That
2020?
was January. No, beginning of February. February 1st.
February 1st. And he offered.
And then you stopped dating.
Yeah.
And at some point, Miss Walden,
Yes.
you say, after the relationship was over, he pressed you for this $920.
Yes, after.
After.
And
It just-
during, I had just told him the situation that I was,
Oh, no, listen, we're past
but
that
he
already.
offered-
I'm already through the entire alphabet of government spending. I'm already through the whole thing. It says that he came after you because he now has a new girlfriend. Or you have a new boyfriend.
Yeah, we just,
And
still
then
single,
he said to you he was worried that the government would come after him for the
What?
return. Don't speak. For the you say in your answer.
Yeah.
For the return of this money, because it wasn't used for the purpose that this was supposed to be used. Paying your employees, like your strangers, like
Yes.
the people that run the cameras, right? And Kevin, right? Whitney,
Absolutely.
and Sarah,
Absolutely.
who were employees, and you were paying yourself and your mom. So you say he was worried that he wasn't going to answer, correct?
yes, that's what he told me on the phone.
That's what he told you. Tell me exactly what he told you.
So he asked me when could he get the money back. He said the loan and that he needed to pay it back. So he needed the money that he gave me at the beginning of February for my rent. He needed it back. But it wasn't until after Ways that all of a sudden it wasn't a gift.
Now, just a second. He said he had to pay it back, or he was afraid he'd have to pay it back?
Yes, that he was a pay it back. He was basically, just trying to get me to give him the money back that he offered.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you back to work?
I do work while I work on my music.
Who supports you?
Me and my manager.
You and your manager support you.
You date your manager?
Just a second.
Oh, my bad.
That is right. You have to tell me, Mr. Jones. Now I've got everybody. I've got everybody's story in my head. How she asked you, or how it came about that she told you that she would give you back the money, the $920 for rent. Tell me how.
First, I need to address.
No, first address my question.
This is in your question.
No.
I wasn't afraid because
No. First address my question. I would be afraid if I were you.
Can you repeat that question for me, please?
I want you to tell me how it came about that you made this for her rent of $920.
Okay, after...
in Miami.
Yeah, after all that with the surgery, and I didn't know, okay? I work for myself. I got
Just a second.
No more alphabets, I get it. But, so that's what she told me when I researched it, and I felt like that was unfair. I think anybody in here would think that was unfair if that's what they was told. I was like, look, I'd be more than willing to help you, but I need just been COVID. As you know, I got to pay my mom.
He never said that.
She don't get a lot of money,
Just
but
a
she gets
second.
enough.
I don't know that at all, sir. I don't know that. Right behind you, pushing you all the time. That's not an employee. Okay, let's keep moving on.
So she expressed to me the concern, but I felt bad for her. And I just said, as long as you're going to pay it back, we good. Okay. And I didn't even ask for it right back. I said, once you start working, you pay it back.
So this was in February. This was in February. Now, in February, were you and the defendant sort of having an intimate relationship?
Before February.
Before February?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened after February?
She would only know. You get some money, you become a track star. I don't know.
I don't know. She stopped. she stopped communicating with you.
It got a little different, but I figured, like, me being the kind person I am,
No. It got a little different.
It got a little different right now. A whole lot of stuff gonna be different. So I was like, okay, it was cool till I was, she had a Super Bowl party. You can come get your bread. I came. I brought some other things because she wanted chicken wings, and I was like, okay, cool, you're gonna hit me back. When I got there was no money, so I decided I gotta do what I gotta do because I need that money back.
Your Honor, he came to the party and called ahead of time and said, would you like me to stop at the store to get anything? He knows everybody contributed
Miss Walden,
$45
Miss
for some
Walden,
wings.
I'm not even addressing the fact that he picked up fancy cupcakes and chicken wings. I didn't go to school for 10 years for just addressing this 900.
Says former girlfriend Eva Walden refuses to pay back a loan and the cost of food from her football party.
Show me with regard to his statement that he said, listen, I'm cool with that. I can give you the money now, but you have to pay it back.
He just started harassing me, saying the money for the rent. So this is my lease. I just wanted to show proof.
Oh.
Just so you know.
Who do you live with now?
My mom. My mom.
Okay, great. And what kind of a house does she have? Or do you rent a room from her?
Yeah, we're in an apartment.
Did you rent a room in your mother's apartment in February? So the rent that he allegedly paid for you was to your mother?
Yeah.
Does your mother live in that apartment? Case is dismissed. You are both of you. Get out of here.
Court adjourned.
I don't win nothing. I loaned some money, I wanted it back.
He's just being pet talk anymore, and now he wants his money back, which he offered as a gift.
She looked at me with some batted eyes, looked into my heart, and clearly said, will you please help me? No more bucks for tucks.
Definitely a lesson learned.
Case number 1032, Bradley versus Kimball. Please come forward.
Tia Bradley, breeder Rico Kimball, for half the value of a puppy litter.
Miss Bradley, you have a male Shih Tzu.
I do.
And that's your...
Yes.
What's his name and how old is he?
King, he's 2 years old.
And Mr. Kimball, you have a female Shih Tzu.
Yes, ma'am.
How old is she?
She's 2 years
All thought it would be a good idea to mate your two dogs.
Yes.
Your female with King. King and Sparkle should have a family together. And according to you, made arrangements with the defendant that you would split any litter that you had. That was a verbal agreement.
Yes.
Mr. Kimball, Sparkies,
Correct.
as a result of this mating.
Correct.
Miss Bradley, your lawsuit is for the value of half of that litter because you intend to sell it.
That is correct.
You don't plan on keeping the dogs. You plan on selling them So you're looking for the value.
I was keeping one puppy.
You were keeping one for yourself. No intention of selling that puppy.
No.
Okay. And this is the one that you originally picked, this pick of... Can I take possession of that puppy for a minute? I need it. I haven't seen mine in a couple of weeks. Oh, you're holding a puppy like it's something that you don't do naturally. It is a very, very sweet puppy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is your pick of litter, and you intend to keep her.
Right.
You intend to take... Okay, let me tell you this. Mr. Kimball says that your arrangement was that you got pick of the litter, which is the routine exchange for stud fee. I mean, your dog is not a champion dog. I assume your dog's not a champion dog. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yours is a pet.
Right.
And you're amateur at this breeding process, so there's no lineage that you're trying to protect. So the usual arrangement, not half the litter. That's why the person who goes through the time and the trouble and the feeding and the cleaning up and the care for it, there are only 2 puppies. They keep one and you keep one. In this case, there were more than 2 or 3 and they all survived.
Yes, ma'am.
That means that you were, good parents. I'm almost afraid to give you back this puppy, to give to her. This is the puppy that you brought in. This was her puppy. This was her pick of litter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. Can you deal with this, Kevin?
Yes.
Oh, good. She is very cute.
Thank you.
Yes, you are, and very photogenic and very good and very quiet.
Right hand, left hand.
Give it to him. King's daughter.
No, why don't you take her?
Deal with dogs.
You don't deal with dogs?
The dogs is for my kids.
You okay?
Just bring her back. Bring her back.
Peeing.
Oh, that's why you're holding her so far away.
Never done that before. She's probably scared or something.
She is scared. Okay. You wouldn't touch this dog. Why?
I don't deal with the dogs at all.
Well, how old are your children?
Well, he's 21. I have a 14 and a 16-year-old.
But you have nothing to do with the dog?
No.
So you plan on giving the dog to him? What do you mean it's their dog?
That's their dog. King is their dog.
Okay, fine. How would it be if instead of getting this puppy, and they could buy whatever dog they liked?
They like the Shih Tzu. That's why I had
No,
to
then
get
they could buy a Shih Tzu and they wouldn't have to take this one home. How would that be? Would you do that? So you wouldn't have a problem if, since your mom's not going to have anything to do with this dog and doesn't even want to touch it, you wouldn't have a problem if you decided what you wanted to buy.
Yeah, you can do that.
He says that's fine. How much did you sell the other puppies for?
$300.
How much were you intending?
$10.
Well, how about we give you $1,000 and you can let your kids decide? Would you be prepared, instead of taking the dog? He has hands full with one dog. Do you understand?
I get it, but we can handle 2 dogs. It's not a problem. That's not a problem. Because that would be the only dog we have, the dog.
So you want a dog from your
Puppies.
that he wants?
Right.
Okay. All right. Then give that dog to your mother.
I can sit him down, watch you on the leash.
That's fine.
Sit him down.
And you can step
King.
up here
King, sit.
and take this one. Perfect.
Got her.
Got her?
Yes.
Okay.
He's scared. She's scared.
King. Okay.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Thank you.
Calm down. Uh-oh. No.
Oh, they're going to get along famously.
That's your dad. You doing that too?
I ain't never seen that.
No, he's good with her. You're good with her. Not crazy about his father.
Calm down. It's okay.
Okay, satisfied?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good. Very good. We're done. Thank you.
Court adjourned.
I'm okay with her decision of giving us the one.
Great decision. That was the plan all along, is to give her a puppy.
He's not a man of his word, and he needs the money more than me.
Once the puppies came, her story changed. So I was sticking with it.
My dog would be happy that he has his daughter.
I'm happy with it.
It seemed like the whole thing could have been avoided had they just had something in writing when they decided to breed their dogs.
The takeaway, if you're dealing with somebody, whether family or not, and you have something of value that you're exchanging, put the terms in a written contract, everybody to know where they're at. And I think that puppy, who probably was very frightened, had a little stage fright, will get to love him because he really was a sweet, soft guy. Anyway.
Owner Ellie Bonarin for moving expenses, hotel costs, and storage fees.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you?
Case number 1163, Gangley versus Bonarin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gangley, interesting story. You were moving from Arizona to California?
Correct.
And you had assumed this was the mutual friend?
I have a very good friend. A friend of his is also...
Who was this?
This is my sister.
You knew the defendant.
Exactly.
You were moving from Arizona to California with a son who was how old?
15.
And according to you, you wanted him to go to a good school. And out through this mutual friend that the defendant had an apartment in California, in an area where you wanted to live. You came to look, and you came to look at the apartment, I believe in June of this year.
Correct.
And you liked the apartment.
Yes.
And you settled on you negotiated the price of the rent. He wanted more, you wanted to pay less. How much was he asking originally?
He was asking, I believe, 37.
What you were asking, sir?
No, I was asking 45, and I said because she's a friend.
No, just a second. You were asking 45.
I was at the apartment, but because through a friend, I said I'll give it to you for 4.
Had you rented the apartment before?
Yes.
To whom?
To a lady who moved to...
How long had she been in the apartment?
3 years.
When did she leave?
2 months before this incident.
Relatively, so maybe in May.
Yeah.
And how much was she paying in rent?
38.
And you agreed with the defendant. You wanted 4. She said, I'm not sure I believe her. You finally fixed on 35, correct?
Yes.
Which is, according to you, $300 less getting from your previous tenant.
Correct.
Who had been there. Well, that was nice of you, $3,500. And you were supposed to provide him with a deposit. How much?
$3,500. So the total due would have been $6,000.
I'm going to do this my way.
Okay. Sorry.
You were supposed to security deposit when you saw the apartment in July, because now you are, if you want to take the apartment, you want him to stop.
This is before I got to LA. Yes.
You went to see the apartment for the
June.
first time in June.
Yes.
Did you take it?
Correct.
So you clearly wanted him to stop showing the apartment to other people.
We were done. Yes.
How much money did you give him in June then?
And I have the text messages.
That's a number. Just a second.
Well,
that's a number.
In June.
So in June, you gave him nothing. June, what did you come looking at the apartment? Because this is what it all comes down. This is what the case all comes down to. So wondering out there what this case is all about.
On the evening of June 1st.
I'm speaking.
I thought you asked me the date.
No.
I'm sorry.
This is what the case is all about. In case anybody is wondering what the case is all about, Miss Gangley is suing the defendant for $10,000 because he reneged on an agreed apartment. That's what you're suing him for your moving costs and everything else. That's what you're suing him for.
Correct.
You saw the apartment June 1st. You gave him no money.
Correct.
No lease.
Correct.
You were moving into the apartment on what date?
July 15th.
Between June 15th, how much money had you sent him?
$1,000.
On what date?
The date that I sent the money was 2 days after it, and it was July 12th was one.
Well, usually when you go and see an apartment, you're not a child.
Correct.
I haven't rented an apartment in a long time, but I have a pretty fixed memory. You go and look at an apartment. You say, I like it with the person who was renting the apartment. You sign a lease. You give them a check. You give them the date when the lease is going to be signed. Have a signed lease, and he has his security deposit, first month's rent. Sometimes they require last month's rent. What were you supposed to give him? A month's rent and how much security?
May I just tell from the beginning?
No.
Okay. We didn't speak on...
Just a second. You came and looked at the apartment, and because he was a friend of a friend...
We talked...
Of a friend of a friend of a friend, You gave him no money, and you expected him to take his apartment until you got there on July 15th, even though he gave you a rent that was less than what he was getting from his previous. It's a pretty good deal. I asked you for a number. How much money were you supposed to give him for the apartment? How much security?
Requested zero security deposit when I met him. He told me in July a $3,000 security deposit.
$1,000 and your month's rent.
Correct.
Which was $3,500.
Correct.
So $6,500 altogether, and you would $1,000.
Correct.
So you owed him $5,500 that he agreed. Nice guy, so really nice guy, gave you a cheaper rent than what was the going rate that you understood because you moved into Beverly Hills. He was rent than what he was getting from his former tenant. He held the apartment for you for 6 weeks for no money, $1,000, no money. By the way, just a second. He gave you the $1,000 back, by the way.
Yes.
Did you cash that check?
Yes, I did.
Oh, then you...
Claims apartment owner Ellie Benarin owes for moving expenses and hotel costs after she paid him a deposit.
Now, I'm not finished yet. Then, according to you, you got there with your son from Arizona, U-Haul, and a mover, and you had with you a cashier's check for $5,000. Now, when that cashier's check for $5,000?
July 14th.
Where did you get the cashier's check for $5,000?
Wells Fargo in Arizona.
You have your bank account?
Yes, it is.
And when you went to Wells Fargo and got the check for $5,000, you went there knowing $5,500.
Correct.
Your excuse for that is that you were going to pay him the rest by some Zelle account.
Requested it.
No. Show me how he requested on July 14th. Show me how he requested payment by a Zelle account. I want you. That's a simple.
He didn't request it on July 14th.
Simple.
He didn't request it then.
Miss Gangley, you're a hustler.
No, ma'am,
you're a
I'm
hustler.
not.
You're a hustler.
No.
What you could have done very easily was the day before you were there, July 14th, when you went to Wells Fargo and got a cashier's check. You get a cashier's check for $5,500. That is as good as that. Instead, you talked him down with the rent, little bit.
May
You
I
owed
show
him.
you the checks?
You owed him. It's his apartment. He wants to rent it. He is in a position of wanting to rent his commodity. Buddy, who was ready, willing, and able, he thought, to rent that commodity. It's not that he had somebody else in the wings to rent was renting his apartment to you. You were, in my view, trying to get away with the $500 then. At that moment.
Drive a U-Haul and pay all that money there to try to save $500. I would love to show you.
I would love to see, Kevin, that on or about July 14th, he said to you, give me a cashier's check for $5,000 and pay the rest by some other commodity. It doesn't make sense.
This is the date.
What's the date?
That he requested the deposit.
No. When he told
July
you.
July 6th is when he requested the deposit.
Just
by Zelle.
Just a second. July 6th, he requested the deposit by Zelle.
Zelle only allows
No, don't tell.
I sent the max possible on a day. Zelle only allows you to spend $500.
Who gives facts behind what they said to you? Just like you went into Wells Fargo on the 14th of July, just like you went into Wells Fargo on July 6th, when he sends you, please send me the deposit, you go into Wells Fargo, you get a money order, a bank check, and a FedEx, and you send it to him. You saw the apartment June 1st. July 6th, he said, all right, time to get off the dime. It's now a month. Please send me the deposit. So you say, well, I'll give him $1,000. I'll give him $500. That's who. But then July 14th, when you went there, you were still $500. I'm not interested in looking at anything that he said to you. When you got there July 15th, give me a cashier's check and a $500. That's what you decided to do.
I sent him a text, and he responded with an emoji of thumbs up. Saying yes,
you're a
fine.
hustler, madam.
I'm not a hustler.
And you are not getting $10,000 from this man.
And you won't look at the evidence?
I'm absolutely going to look at you that you're a hustler.
Okay, well, here's the
I'm
evidence.
telling you, you're a hustler.
Well,
because
you're wrong, sir.
I'm telling you,
sorry.
Kevin, you can get it. You're a hustler.
Please show her that.
Because on July 14th, when you went to Wells Fargo, knowing that he wanted a deposit on July 6th, I said, you know what? I'm going all the way there. I'm packing up my son. Wells Fargo is where I do my banking. They also have Wells Fargo here. So you didn't take out your last dollar. I'm going to get a bank check. Because now he's been waiting for it for 6 weeks. And I'm going to give him a bank check for $5,500 because that's what I owe him. You didn't do that. $5,000. And I have to say to myself, why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's like saying I have cash, and I'm going to give you $5,000 in cash, and I'm going to give you $500 in a note that I'm not getting right then and there. Move my things into the apartment, and then I'm there. And then when I have the other $500, I'm going to give you the other $500. And in addition, when he said, listen, if this is the way I'm going to do business with you, you gave me $5,000 in a cashier's check. I was short. I don't want to start with a tenant like this right away.
No, that's why we agreed to it ahead of time.
Here's your $1,000 back that you gave me. And you cashed it. And that was finished. He said, I don't want you as a tenant. You have a signed lease by...
I have a signed, no.
No, so you have no lease. So, you see, if you're in Arizona and you want to send him his deposit that he over, and people do that all the time. They buy property in the mail. They buy property over email. They have DocuSign that between June 1st and July 15th. You chose not to do that.
Has accused apartment owner of refusing to rent his apartment after she paid a deposit. Ellie says he changed his mind and refunded her deposit.
Now, he send you the lease.
He sent me...
Just a second. I'm going to go to you. On what date did you send her the lease?
July 10th.
You sent her the lease?
10th.
Did you send it by email?
By email, and I told her to respond with sign the lease and send it back. Or at least I acknowledge she got the lease.
You have all the text there.
Can I see the email that you sent her with the lease? Do you have it with you?
I have it on my phone. Can I pull it off on my phone?
Yeah. So when you got the lease, you changed it.
I made an edit, as I said in the text to him there.
So you changed it
Yes.
and initialed it.
He didn't send it on July 10th.
When did he send it?
I gave him my email on July 13th.
Sorry, apologize to the right 13. Yes, the text, and I'll open it for you.
In the evening, the day before we were loading to move.
And I wrote, please acknowledge receiving it. Never heard from her.
We spoke on...
You're not entitled to any money.
That's not true.
Well, I'm telling you that you're not entitled to any money.
But you haven't heard my story or seen the evidence.
But I
have not.
What I'm telling you, madam, is the following. You have no lease to his apartment.
We had a verbal contract.
No, you had no lease to his, and you accepted in satisfaction of having no lease $1,000, which is what you gave him, and he's not responsible for your having to find another apartment, which cost you more money. You had a responsibility. And if you saw an apartment that was a bargain, you hop on it. Say, I want my lease. I want to sign it. I want to give you the money now for it, so I know it's mine and I know it's held. That's what you do as a grown-up. You didn't do that. You had the perfect to get a cashier's check for $5,500 the day before you went there. And you didn't. And you modified the lease before he signed it. So you had no written lease when there was supposed to be a written lease. This wasn't a verbal month-to-month tenancy. This was not month-to-month tenancy.
No, it was not.
Right.
It was a 12-month lease.
That's a lease for a year or more has to be in writing. And I'm telling you, you have a written lease with him, and you fail to fulfill the terms of the lease by not bringing a sufficient amount of money. The case is dismissed.
No, ma'am.
We are done.
No.
Court is adjourned.
We
are
humor me
done.
to hear the story, please.
We are done.
No, I'm not going
done.
to do that.
Walk.
Well, then there's a breach of contract, right? Because you told me you were going to hear the case.
I heard my
You
case.
did not hear.
Ma'am,
No,
the case is over.
I'm not going.
The case is over.
Actually, I never got to speak. I'm not going. Well, I was very disappointed that I didn't get to explain the sequence of events.
Decision, Judge Judy knows what she's saying.
So I'm extremely disappointed with her decision there.
When people born in a world, she was the opposite.
We started communicating again in July. I reached out to him.
She tried to get in with no money and rent, I was assuming.
The deposit was not requested until the amount was never mentioned until the 10th of July.
The straw that broke the camel's back. She did a mistake.
I don't think he changed his mind. We hadn't talked about it.
No, she say, here is 5,000 and I'll give you later another 500. And I said, I'm not the 500.
We have a chain of communications. He knew I was coming.
She is a hustler.
So I'm just curious, would you have felt any different about being a hustler if she had not cashed that $1,000 check that he had refunded her for what she had paid towards her deposit?
I would still have thought that, but accepting the check back from him, I mean, if the check was given to secure, her argument, it was given to secure the apartment, even though the full amount that was necessary, that he asked for the beginning of July, and she ignored him. But since she took the check and cashed the check, his obligation to her is finished. The fact that she had to go and find another apartment could have been very easily rectified. This is a man, landlord. He has a commodity from which he makes money, which probably costs him maintenance and taxes that he has to pay for every apartment lays fallow. He agreed because of a friendship with a mutual friend to rent this woman an apartment for less than and he held it for a month.
For no money.
Really, for no money. She got the lease. She made an alteration on the lease. She never acknowledged that she had it. The day before she left Arizona, she went to the bank knowing that she owes him $5,500 and $5,000.
Weird.
And paid for a check for $5,000. You know, I've been in this business and heard these landlords enough to know once she moved her things into that apartment, that $500 security deposit, he was never going to see. He might have hounded her for it for a couple of months, and then he would have said, all right, forget about it. And she knew that. That's what makes her a hustler. That check for $5,000, that cashier's check, instead of $5,500, says to me, hustler. The icing on the cake is, he said, listen, I don't want you as a tenant in a place that I really want to rent, and you're here, and all your stuff is easy for me to let you move in. But I know, I'm a smart man, if I take this $5,000, I'm going to have trouble with you on complaints, rent, more complaints. What do I need this for? I take it, I cash it, go find a motel, stay in it until you find an apartment. You're probably not going to find an apartment for $3,500. That's a 2-bedroom apartment, which is what he had. So when you do the wrong thing, courts aren't going to stand up for you. He did the right thing, I think.
Yeah.
That he did the right thing. He bent over backwards to accommodate this lady because of a friendship friend, and she was trying to get a little bit extra. Well, it came back and it bit her in the behind. And I was...
is suing her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, for vet bills and resulting from a dogfight.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2, Petrick versus Opulencia Munix.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Petrie, this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's his first name?
Zion.
Zion. And you got him a puppy.
Correct.
When?
May of 2019.
What kind?
I'm not quite sure.
You stand up because even your mom wasn't a witness to this dog incident. Zion, what kind of dog did your mom buy you?
He's a Frenchie and then I believe a Terrier Falcon.
Do you have a picture of it?
Yes.
May I see it, please? When you say a Frenchie, you mean a French bulldog?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Hey, do you know?
Right now, he currently weighs 12 pounds.
An incident happened on the 15th of April.
Yes.
You weren't present.
No, Your Honor.
Would you change places with Zion? I want him to be right in the middle. Zion, you were out walking your dog. Dog's name, you were walking him on a leash.
Yes.
At what time of day?
Like afternoonish.
Okay. Now, you're walking Tony, and he was on a leash.
Me and my friend, we were walking, going onto the trail, and then...
Okay. So you were with a friend?
Yes.
Explain to me where the trail is.
Like if you go from my house directly down from the lion fountain, and then you take a left, then that's how we were going onto the trail.
Defendants live.
They
Do you have
live-
the pictures?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them so I can get some idea of what you're talking about.
So you can, Your Honor, so you can get a full... Zion was walking this
Hey, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. You can't tell me where he was
okay,
walking.
I'm
You
sorry.
weren't there.
Yes.
Just hand me the photographs. Thank you. Go. Is that where you live?
No.
Is this the complex where the defendants live?
Yes.
You live on the first floor or the second floor?
Second.
Second, okay. And this is the trail where you were going to walk with Tony. Don't shake your head. You weren't there. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Otherwise, as a matter of fact, it's better. Sit down. Zion, this is where you were going to walk with Tony?
Yes.
Did you the defendant's house in order to get to the trail?
Yes.
And your dog was on the leash?
Yes.
Tell me what happened as you passed their house.
I passed, like, me and my friend were going on a trail, and then from behind us, the pit bull, it came running. Before I could really react, he had a hold of his neck, and like he was just like shaking him. And then I was in shock. And then by the time he stopped with his neck, he immediately moved like by his thigh, and then he started gripping. We were all yelling at him to stop. And then by that time,
When you say you were all, so I have you and your friend.
yes,
Were either of these two people there? You.
Yes, Your Honor.
She came after her dog.
yes, she was there.
When their pit bull grabbed onto your dog, was she there?
Yes.
On a leash?
No.
Was your dog injured?
Yes.
How did the pit bull finally let go of your dog?
A man was walking down the street. He had to punch the dog a few times, and then the dog finally loosened its grip.
He punched the pit bull.
Yes.
Did you know who the man was?
I think my mom got in contact with him.
Now you can stand up. Did you find out who the man was?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you speak with him? How did you find his name?
There's a group called Neighborhood Group on social media for our community. And for the gentleman who stepped in and helped my son, if you could please reach out to me. And he announced himself and who he was. And so at that time.
Got it. Now, sit down. You weren't home at the time of this alleged attack.
No, ma'am.
Who was this? Your girlfriend was home with your pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time I'm reading these papers, you were under house arrest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Ankle bracelet.
Yes, I was.
And you live on the second floor.
Yes, I do.
So you let the pit bull out to relieve itself because you couldn't go out because bracelet on, because you were under house arrest.
Yes, Your Honor.
The pit bull walked down the stairs by itself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your apartment?
Yes.
You were standing here. When the dog ran out, was unleashed. By the time you got to where the dog had, tell me what you did
Yes,
to
Your Honor.
get the dog off Zion's dog.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, when I
Look at me.
Okay.
And make sure you know I know everything.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now you're on the second floor. Bracelet. You're not allowed to leave the house, so you let the pit bull out by himself. He runs and attacks his dog. Do you either hear or see?
I was I was out there before before the attack even happened. I actually let
Now
him
look
know,
at me.
I let him know that I was going to get I was trying to get him.
No, just listen to me. Just because you say it fast doesn't mean I miss it. You're on the porch. Let your dog out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's take it from there, step by step.
So I know.
Don't look over there.
Walking his dog, and I went to let him know that my dog was out there, and I was
Just
already
a
going to get
second.
him.
You saw him walking his dog.
Yes.
With a friend on a leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you say you let him know, what did you do? Listen, what did you do? Don't cross your arms. What did you do or say to let him know?
I said, hey, my dog's out here loose right now. I'm going to get him.
No, let's go slow. My dog's out loose out here.
And I'm trying to go get him.
And you're going to?
Get him.
And when you say that, you're on.
No, I'm not on the porch at this point. I'm going to get my dog. Is what I'm doing.
Well, why would you let the dog out if you were going to get the dog?
I didn't think I would have to go get the dog. He comes back normally, so I didn't think I was going to have to go get him.
So it is your routine to let the dog out.
Not only when I'm the only one.
Just a second.
Only when I was on the bracelet.
In what month were you placed on the bracelet?
May?
No, don't look at him. May?
I don't know the exact date, Your Honor.
You don't know the date that somebody put an ankle bracelet on you? How old are you?
34.
How many times have you had an ankle bracelet on? You know the exact date when somebody came and slapped an ankle bracelet on me?
I remember the date I got it off, but I don't.
On.
I know. I don't remember the exact date that I...
Did she get the ankle bracelet on?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that even has to do with anything.
You're not sure?
No.
You're not sure? I'm going to tell you what's sure. What is that she says because she was wearing an ankle bracelet, that's the reason she let the pit bull out alone.
Correct.
Well, then it becomes important because she usually comes back. That means she's let the pit bull out alone before. Now do you understand?
3. Claims her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnitz, owe for vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog that he is countersuing for threats and harassment.
Okay, what county do you live in what state?
King County, Seattle, Washington.
Whose pit? How long have you had it?
About 2 years now.
How long has she been your girlfriend?
About 3 years now.
What kind of work do you do?
I was a maintenance supervisor.
In the complex where you...
That complex, but another property.
Did you get fired?
Yes.
Is that because you had a pit bull?
No.
Why?
Why? Because of her constant harassment, calling corporate.
Are you?
Yes.
Are you?
I was, yeah.
Let's see. King County.
I'm looking into
Your Honor.
Just a second.
So I know January 1st of 2020, the state undid their initial ban on pit bulls outright. So pit bulls were allowed in the state of Washington, and counties were not allowed to ban them outright after January 20. But I'm on the Kings County government website to see if there's anything specific.
So when you got the dog, because you said you've had the dog for 2 years, bulls were banned in your state. You know how much it takes to ban a dog, to get that through a legislature, to ban a dog? And undid the ban, but they did in January. But when you got the dog was a banned dog. And I don't know why you think he knows. She let the dog out. She says, I let the dog out, and I've done it before. Usually comes back. I told him, hey, my dog's out loose. Think that an unmonitored dog, you as the owner are not responsible for all their vet bills is mind-boggling to me.
I go for the vet bill.
Oh, well, then what are we doing here? You said in your answer, we agreed to split them 50-50, and I paid my... Would they split the vet bills with you 50-50 if it's all your fault? Well is not an answer. Well is not an answer. If she's lazy and instead of walking the dog on a leash, does significant damage because the dog might have just as well attacked the child as the dog.
Dog would never attack a child.
Would only attack another dog. Is that what you're saying?
I have
You
pictures
want
of
me
my
to
dog,
show you?
my
do
dog
you want
around other dogs, around kids.
Well, let me tell you.
It was the actions of that little dog.
I want to tell you this.
Yes, ma'am.
I have drawers full of letters from grandparents and parents who say, my pit bull is wonderful. One day it turned. And when a dog that weighs 10 pounds or 12 pounds, snaps at you, I have a dog that weighs 4 pounds. If I annoy her and she's sleeping and I wake her up and she nips me, she hasn't done smart, I would get hurt a little bit. But when a pit bull attacks somebody, they can kill them. And if you have a dog like that and you're a grown man, that would be on you. And if girlfriend over here decides that that's okay, she's a when you subject children to your dog, you're making them take a risk that they didn't ask for. Why would you, a child, yours or anybody else's, from an animal that's capable of causing serious physical injury? There's a list of dogs in most states that insurance companies won't even insure your house if you have a pet dog. Why do you think they do that? They're in business to make money. And all you pit bull owners out there, I've heard the hate mail. Don't bother. I don't read it. I'm sure that there are terrific pit bull pets that are wonderful. They have the capacity to kill you. They have been known to kill you. I never knew anybody that got killed by a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie or a never. But if you go on Google and find out how many deaths and serious physical were caused in the last year by pit bulls, I tell you what we're going to do. Sarah's going to look at it. I've never looked at the number. Don't speak. What you're supposed to do is put a leash on your dog and get your behind out of the house and walk the dog. Because there's no question in my mind, friend went out downstairs to the grass area because you actually went out of the house. They didn't come and arrest you for leaving the house, did they, when you ran outside after your dog? No. Oh, right. So you could just as easily have taken the dog out to one of these grass areas that's right near your house to relieve itself. But you would... Do we have a number?
Well, it looks like out of 430 fatal dog attacks, 185 were caused out of Washington.
My God. Not even half.
Just... The
life.
You know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs... Do you know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are? So practically 50% of the deaths in the state where you live attacks were pit bulls. I want you to look and see how many dog deaths in the state of Washington were caused by chihuahuas. And your counterclaim for harassment is dependent upon this number. Because if this number is more, I will actually entertain your counterclaim for harassment. Otherwise, I'm tossing it.
Well,
that's
between
crazy.
2005, 18 in the entire United States, 2.
From a chihuahua.
Appreciate
For
that.
the entire United States.
I'll take it.
From 2005?
Until
From 2005. You'll take what?
It's more than 0, what you just said.
Oh, then I'm going to hear your counterclaim. Do you understand? People died in your state as a result of pit bull attacks.
And that's a sad situation.
Yeah, just a second. So you have to be a moron to allow a dog like that around children.
I'm not a moron.
Oh, absolutely.
3 is accusing her former neighbors, Anthony Opulensi Molnix, of refusing to pay vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony says Pamela threatened to shoot their pit bull.
Can I see your vet bills, please? Now you can stand up. What's the balance that he owes on the vet bills?
Colonel, he paid a total of $780 with a remaining balance of $289.
Why did you stop?
Because I got fired because of her.
Oh, good. $289. Okay. Now you have a counterclaim for terroristic threats, loss of employment, moving expenses, stress.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose? Other than mine. Other
Mine
than
and
mine.
hers.
You have to understand something. She's a wrongdoer. She is.
You don't know that.
She allowed a dog off leash because she was lazy, and she let the dog go out, attacked another dog. And you recognized your fault because you paid the vet bills to your credit. You paid the vet bills until you said. The suggestion is you got fired because of her.
It's not a suggestion.
So, just a second. You had in the house, she reported it to whomever, animal control, the management company that you worked at.
Yes, ma'am.
It's her right. Other than that, what are you complaining about? It's her right to report that because you maintained a dog in your house, your girlfriend let the dog roam free, not once, but according to her, regularly, that she felt created a threat to everybody in the neighborhood. The truth is, so do I. So if you have something to show me terroristic threats that she did, I'll be more than happy to see that.
I wasn't there when it happened. She was, so.
Terroristic threats.
Yes.
Okay. Terroristic threats.
After the incident happened, and she came over to talk to me about it. She completely freaking out, and I was trying to calm her down, but she's telling me that she brought her gun over with her to shoot my dog in the head.
She was going to shoot your dog. Mm-hmm. Did you see a gun?
I did not see a gun.
Okay. Next. What's next?
What's next? Continued to call me, separating me from the work I need to do almost daily. At least every other day, she's texting me, calling me, what are you going to do about this bill? Where's my money? Answering her. And she starts calling corporate and calling my management company and harassing multiple people on the board there. So they're calling to try to smooth the situation out, do what you can to. So, okay, I'll do that. But even though I did, she still kept calling.
Counterclaims dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the remainder of the vet bill, which is $289. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I'm irate right now.
I just want to say I've been watching Judge Judy for a long time, and I knew that coming here that my case would be heard and justice would be prevailed. Thank you.
The animal control, I think it was like a few days later or a week later or something.
Our dog, he's an all-white dog, so he was just full of blood.
Then?
We'd
already gotten rid of him.
You should have your dog on the leash. There's not much to really say about it.
It was scary. I mean, it's a horrible thing.
Other people, nor do we want our dogs being hurt, vice versa. Just please leash your dog up.
You know, I might have to a little bit. As I kept looking for the fatalities caused by dogs, there's so many different accounts and different numbers. But one consistent of the accounts is that pit bulls did account for a majority of fatalities from dog bites and dog interactions.
It's been my experience here. Those people who have dangerous dogs, and there is a couple on that dangerous list, have to be really mindful of the fact that if an animal has the capacity to kill, it doesn't mean that it intentionally does that. I mean, if you're a homeowner and if you can't get homeowners insurance if you have a particular breed of dog, I would say to myself, doink. There is a reason that insurance companies that are making money, they have done the math. They understand that eventually they're going to pay out on a claim. So they say, you know what? You're going to pay a double premium or we won't insure you. And I would say to myself, as a rational human being, there are over 200 breeds. Find another breed.
Yeah.
And I say that even though I regularly get this onslaught of vocal mail. So don't bond it. I don't read it. That's my opinion. You're entitled to yours.
Is suing independent contractor James Furtado for car damages, breach of contract, and...
Court come to order.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 10-9 versus Furtado.
Thank you. Miss Airy, you have a business. And let me see if I can summarize what I understand your business. You own a fleet of cars. Mm-hmm. That's a yes.
Yes.
How many?
How many currently?
And what you do is you lease those cars or rent them, either by the day, by the month, by the week, to drivers who you do their own independent contractors. They pay for the rental of the car. They do trips for you from your client list to keep a portion of whatever the trip is. Is that the business model?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So let me understand the dynamic. The cars by the day, week, month?
Daily.
How much do you charge for a day to the driver? You are a driver.
Okay. Yes.
How much do you charge a day?
Fees. It all
Why?
boils down to about 45% is what the company actually receives.
So they don't actually lease the car from you. Percentage of whatever the fares are?
Yes, what the fares are, exactly.
Okay. So they don't, say, pay you $100 plus a work in your car, and what they pay you is 45% of whatever they collect that day.
Yes.
It works?
No.
Okay. How does it work?
Depending on how she sees that the money is going in for that driver that day, She either 5%, 35%, or she decides to do it 50-50, whatever she wants to do.
Okay.
And we are...
But what you don't do is pay her for the car.
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah.
How?
It's either depending on if Dodges, $7, maybe $5 a day. If it was one of the Mitsubishis, $10 a day.
So in addition to whatever pay for the car per day,
plus $2 for each dispatched call, plus $1 for a deductible a day, $1 for escrow.
Per day?
Per day.
Does that sound right?
Not all of it.
What part is not right?
Okay. The fee of $2.05, that does fluctuate. I know it's nothing, but if you look at it towards a long period, it is. But everything
Keep
else...
going.
And
everything else is correct.
Yes,
so
it's close.
You do, in fact, charge per day to rent the car.
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes.
Yes.
And that's a yes.
Yes.
Even the amount of money.
Yes.
But you do charge them. Okay. And you, Mr. Furtado.
Yes.
Mr. Furtado had driven your cars a period of time. For how long, Miss Airy?
Since April of 2020 till July of 18th of 21.
Had he driven every day, 7 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week?
Usually 5 shifts.
5 shifts,
yes.
Which is 5 days. Correct?
Sometimes.
Okay, sometimes more.
Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending if there was a situation with me.
Okay. In July of 2021, there was an incident. And according to you, the incident, which will be described to me later, resulted in Mr. Furtado in telling him that you were placing him on suspension. That's what you say in your complaint. You then say, Mr. Furtado says, then I quit. Asked him to return the car. He said, you want the car? Come get it. It's in my driveway. When you went to get the car wasn't there. Mr. Furtado towed that he had called a towing company. He says he called a towing company to pick up the car because he was afraid that you would, I'm telling you what you wrote, the towing company because you were afraid that the plaintiff would call the police and report the car stolen. And she said she'd be there in an hour. She was, so you called the towing company. So what you're suing for is damage to the car that you say that the defendant did to the car. I don't know what that is. Loss of business, tow fees, and harassment of clients. The harassment of clients, the only thing that you allege in your complaint is that he passed out to drive independently of your company to your clients. That's the only allegation in here. Is that correct?
I have a couple of more.
It's the only complaint.
Okay.
With regard to your clients and harassment, unless I'm missing something.
Well, also the harassment could be to another worked with. And
oh, no, that's not pled in your complaint, so I'm not paying any attention to it. So the harassment of clients.
Sherry Airy claims independent contractor James Furtado owes breach of contract and tow fees. James is countersuing, claiming he was wrongfully terminated by Sherry.
Now, I am taking that he did, in fact, give out his business cards to your clients. I'm taking that as a fact.
Yes, but there's also a text stating from one of the clients that
just a second.
Arrest her.
I'm not taking a text from a client.
Okay.
That's hearsay.
Okay.
What I'm saying is if a person has a claim against harassment, that person can file a complaint, and that complaint will be heard by a court. But handing out business cards is not harassment. It may be a violent contract that you have with him, and that I'll, of course, see, because you do have money owed for breach of contract. But harassment, now, damages to the car. On what date did you pick up the car from the towing company?
I think the 18th, the same evening.
And what ledge was done to the car?
Well, we have a camera system, and it also is connected to a gateway. And he actually ripped it off, cut it off, and the way he ripped it off ruined both vehicles. And also,
well, was it left in the car?
Yes, it was.
It was left in the car, but it was taken apart.
It was cut and pulled.
Yes, see a photograph of it.
Here's pictures of the vehicle.
How long had Mr. Furtado had the car, that particular car?
He's had it actually when he started to help out.
Did he have it July 16th?
Yes.
July 14th?
Yes.
Okay. Is that correct? So
yes.
The unit that you are referring to was operable on July 14th and 15th.
I have pictures of him same day.
May I see that?
Yes. And also the GPS, which shows that too.
Do you have an estimate to fix these?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see them, please?
So repairs or receipts, I have receipts.
I just want the receipts things where the wires were cut.
Okay.
I have copies of the so-called receipts.
Just for the wires that were cut. Okay, gotcha.
Just for the...
Would it be faster for me to get them out?
Sure.
Yeah, it would definitely. Thank you. Jeez, I'm just...
This is the only or receipts that I received that has anything to do with the camera.
Okay.
Well, I have more here. I just have to find them.
It was $85. Is that correct?
No, 85 was just if it was operable any longer.
Labor of installing or servicing, $80.
Okay, what I have here is the cost of the equipment itself.
Just a second. Install this yourself, sir?
No, ma'am.
She did.
Yes.
Yeah, but you cut the wires.
Yes.
There's no question that you cut the wires.
I can't argue about that.
I'm perfect. I got it. Then just show me the paid bill to reinstall, if all.
It has not been reinstalled yet. I have not received the equipment yet.
From whom?
A company that actually...
Well, how do I know what it costs?
It's right here, ma'am. Okay. Bill, and I also have some other stuff here, too.
Don't give me a lot of other stuff.
Okay.
Stuff I gave up about 15 years ago. Just give me the bill.
I do have the rate of 5 here at $1,800 and some odd dollars if you need that.
How come you vandalized her car, Mr. Furtado?
The wires itself, just aggravated with the day.
Okay. Honest, aggravated, costs money to be honest and aggravated sometimes. Okay. Now, what other damage do you allege to the car?
Also, he used in the vehicle that damaged a lot of the interior.
Can I see photographs of that?
May I say something about that?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I had her permission to put up signs because it made it easier for the customers.
I'm not talking about signs. She said you superglued
The
purposefully.
Signs. The signs. Signs.
She's going to show me if it's where signs would ordinarily go.
No problem.
No problem. No. This isn't acts of vandalism. This is where clearly signs were.
Clearly signs were?
Where signs were. They're Velcro for signs.
He was not given permission to put those up there. There were not signs of... Show me a picture of signs that you had in that car.
$547. Breach of contract. What contract did he breach?
Independent agreement that we had that he does not solicit to our...
May I see the contract that you signed with him?
Contract.
Yeah, this him?
Yes, it's the very back one.
Did you sign this agreement? Is that the way you sign your name? Well,
the back one. That's for the electronically.
Just a second.
Yes. Second to the back one.
Yeah, that's the way he signs his name. That's the way he signs it here. Okay.
Your Honor, about that, though?
I'm going to read it first.
Okay.
Just a sec. Don't say anything.
No problem.
What state do you live in?
Florida.
Sarah, see if you can find anything in the state of Florida of non-compete clauses in an employment contract. I see in your agreement that he signed, you've put in a 4-year period. He can't go to another company or drive for anyone else.
I downloaded that from Swift Forms.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Is accusing independent contractor James Furtado of vandalizing her car after he was suspended. James claimfully terminated by Sherry.
I see in your agreement that he signed, you've put in a 4-year period where he can't go to another company or anyone else.
That's usually, I thought that, I downloaded that from Swift Forms.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Okay.
Find that 4-year non-compete clause in this kind of situation unconstitutional. I can understand that if you're fired or discharged or you quit one company, I can absolutely understand the provision in this contract that I guarantee you he didn't read. Not allowed to solicit business by handing out business cards. You're not allowed to do that in here.
I understand that.
Okay. That's not harassment.
No.
It says that to solicit business from any of her clients for yourself. That's what it says. Okay, so you can't do that. And for that, I'm going to probably another $10 to the damage to the car. Did you find anything?
Yeah, so it's a reasonable standard. So
Well, I find if in the standard is a reasonable period of time, I find 4 years totally unreasonable. Okay. But most contracts, if you can eliminate one clause that makes other legal, you don't necessarily have to void the entire contract. And there are other provisions in here that clearly lay out the response of both parties to the contract. So I am deleting because it's an unreasonable period and therefore unconscionable and therefore depriving them the ability to work and earn a living, the 4 years that you've placed in here. So that part I'm absolutely eliminating. And is that the breach of contract that you would?
Soliciting to the clients that we have in our contact list.
Well, he's not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to use her contact list.
I don't know what contact list she's talking about. The soliciting I did was...
Hands out cards.
The cards. But if you look on that card, can I give you this? It doesn't say nothing on that card. It just has my personal information.
Well, it gives you personal information in the event that they want it independently of her, which means that if they contact you independently, you would charge them less than if they went through the company. That's what it means.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's going to cost you $10.
May I say
That's
something
going to
else
cost you
about this?
$10.
Ooh.
That's going to cost you $10.
May I say something about this now? Okay.
How much did you pay in tow fees to get the car?
$125. $125.
So far, he owes you $600. That's for the damage to the car from cutting the wires at the maximum price that you gave me, $129 for some other gizmo, for passing out his business cards, which is a no-no, and $125 for towing, because you shouldn't have had the car towed, sir. You had the car towed because you were angry to get the car out of towing. Now, you have a counterclaim for wrongful termination. Explain that to me.
I believe that once Sherry says you're suspended, she gets the car back, you're really fired. Because she don't like to fire people.
Well, do you know why she was suspending you?
Just because I made a comment to another driver.
Okay. What was the comment? And what was
it was about how the driver did not put the pictures and condition of the cars at the beginning of the shift like everybody. And I just asked her why, and she came back and said, well, it's really none of your business. And then I had another cocky, but it's still...
I would believe that.
It's still kind of clean, though. It's not really bad, but... And
she said, then you're suspended.
Fine, yeah.
Okay. And then you said, I quit.
I've been telling her for months, I don't play the suspension game. If you're going to work me, work me. If the day I quit. She knew that.
Okay, well, don't tell me what you knew. Did you say I quit?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Fine. Good. Then you have no claim. You quit. Okay. So, Miss Ari, the amount of money you were requesting on this claim is $8,000. Actually, stretching you as far as I can stretch them, your total damages is $682, and that's what I'm awarding you on your claim. The counterclaim is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
Judge Judy always judges fair and just.
I think it was fair.
What he did was unjust to the company.
Lies and nothing.
He constantly disrespected other people.
About me being a bad driver, me giving an attitude.
Constantly going off on dispatchers and just leaving so much stress with everyone that worked with him.
I've got so many reviews. If you was to go on that website and Google, maybe about 30 of the review me with a good attitude and everything else.
I mean, Velcro and super glue all over the car.
I don't know what she's talking about.
He did not have to.
Got on your nerves, so I guess I was just over the limit that day that, all this happened, and
I couldn't believe it.
Watch out for who you work for.
So although Florida does have a reasonable standard for non-compete clauses and how long they can last, the quick research I was able to do, courts in Florida seem to deem anything under 6 months as reasonable and anything over 2 years or in need of more information of why you need your non-compete clause to last for that long. So
yeah, it just didn't sound right to me. I mean, he did intellectual property that had to be protected for a long period of time, and he earned his living by driving cars. What we're supposed to do for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, as I may take a different job, but I'm not going to be a ballet dancer. I'm always going to stay in my lane. So to prevent him from staying in his lane for 4 years was outrageous. People should take that as a lesson when you download forms.
Ann Bonneville is accusing her cousin, Sky McCauley, of breaking a breeding contract.
Court come to order. Morning, Judge.
Morning. Be seated, please.
Case number 1031, Bonneville versus McCulley.
Thank you. 2018, your Old English Bulldog had a litter of puppies. The defendant, who was your cousin, agreed to those puppies because you couldn't keep that dog in your home. It is your claim that he breached the contract with regard to that dog, and you're suing him for $1,000.
Yeah.
You really don't want the puppy returned. The puppy has been with him since 2018. Still lives with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Get that right out of your mind. After 3 years, I assume that you like the dog.
She's my baby.
And the dog likes him and the dog. When was the last time you saw the dog? A month and year.
It would be...
Shouldn't be so long ago.
It was August 2019.
Okay. If that's the case, that's a couple of years ago. And so when I say there's no way you're getting back this dog, it's all about money. Now, when you gave Mr. McCauley this puppy, you drew up a contract with him.
Yes.
I'd like to see the contract.
Right here.
Just give it to me. Give it to Kevin. Kevin will give it to me.
Thank you.
Okay. Now to all of the variables about this contract. While we're doing that, Sarah, take a look at this. Was this the first time in 2018 that you had a litter of...
That was my first litter ever.
You were the owner of the female dog?
Yes.
The female dog lived with you?
Yes.
So you had one dog at the time?
Yes.
Could not have. That's either a yes or a no.
I was not able to have the second dog.
Fine, which is why you gave him the dog to foster. Don't?
Oh, sorry.
Since 2018, have you had other litters with the same dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many? How many times?
It was 4 other litters.
2018.
Yes. They can breed twice a year.
You breed them twice a year?
Yes.
Just a second. I'll see the contract back. You one female 2 times a year?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sarah, look up and see what's recommended for breeding. So this dog had 6 litters in 3 years.
Her last heat, I retired.
So you breed her every time she goes into season, which is twice.
Your Honor.
Well, that's not right. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong.
The American Kennel Club states that the legal litter limit is 6 per lifetime for a bulldog.
How many times a year?
I'll look it up.
Look it up. I know I've had many dogs over my lifetime and bought them from reputable breeders. I never knew that bred their dog every time they went into heat because the dog's body has to have time to nurture itself. I'm just telling you, I know a breeder that I bought a dog from that bred the same female dog twice a year. I just never did. Maybe I'm wrong. Sarah is going to diligence.
It just says recommended for the safety of the female dog to 3 to 4 total a year.
It's impossible. They only go this a year.
According to the American Kennel Club.
Do you have dogs anyplace else, Miss Bonneville?
I have one other female and one of both Old English Bulldogs.
So that you breed those 2 dogs together?
I don't breed them together. The male is in the same family.
Let me read this contract. So this is a clear agreement, Mr. McCauley. I, McCauley, will be fostering Ann Bonneville's dog, Paris, from this date forward, and will retain all rights, including breeding and the right to, at any time, and will take care of all vet visits. Breeding will be paid by 1 pup per litter.
That was from her mother, not from the dog.
You in terms of an agreement if I don't have a question about them.
Okay.
I don't have a question about this. This says breeding will be paid by 1 pup, and that suggests to me that you were going to retain physical control of the dog, and the dog would be bred, and each time the dog 1 puppy from that litter, either to keep or to sell. That's the plain language of this. I absolutely understand what this says. Okay? You claim that the arrangements in this contract were breached by the other. So let me go through them. You got the dog in 2008. Well, from 2018 now to 2021, a dog like this goes to the vet at least once a year.
Yes, ma'am.
In 2018, the dog Paris to the vet.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have that vet bill?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Please, we'll just bring them all to you.
There's no question. Just get me the vet bill.
All the vet bills.
I don't want all the vet bills.
Okay. So.
I want the vet bills from 2018. This is Kevin. I have to walk back and forth 2 or 3 times. That bill for Paris was $134.38. Miss Bonneville, did you pay that bill? Or a yes or a no?
That bill was not paid by me, no.
That bill was not paid by you. Okay. So if that bill was not paid, that visit didn't in 2018. That visit took place in September of 2019.
We waited approximately a year for her to take the dog to a vet, and she never
did.
Just
a second. So that was, and the plaintiff didn't pay. And at that time, in September of 2019, you hadn't bred the dog, nor had Shaq.
No, we have not bred the dog. No.
Okay. Do you acknowledge, Miss Bonneville, that in September of 2019, that the dog had not been bred and you had not asked for the dog back? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine. So the dog hadn't been bred and you had not asked. Did Mr. McCauley present to you or advise you what this bill of $134.38 was when he took the dog to the vet?
He did not.
Sir?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Tell me when.
I called her on the phone and told her that we took her to the vet, what the bill was, and she said that she would pay us with the next puppy that was Princess.
She would pay you with the next puppy?
From Princess, not Paris.
Okay. Did she give you a puppy for the vet?
Sir. No, ma'am.
She did not. Subsequent to this, did Princess have a litter of puppies?
She did have puppies after that, yes.
And did you, in fact, give a puppy from that litter?
That was not our agreement, and I did not. I did give him a puppy out of a prior litter. He got $900 for that, and I have a question about that in here.
Okay. Did you get a puppy from a prior litter?
I got a puppy the day I took Paris home because it was to pay for the first 6 months of
care.
Yep.
Okay. Is that correct that he got the puppy the day he took Paris home?
No, yeah.
Or within a week of that?
No, it was April following Paris home.
Well, what date did he bring Paris home?
November 4th of 2018.
And when did he get a puppy?
April 6th or 7th, 2019.
Well, that was before this vet visit, so that was owed to him.
In the contract, Your Honor, it says I would give him a puppy out of Paris's the dog
no,
we
it didn't.
talking about.
No, it actually didn't say that.
It didn't say that.
It didn't say that.
But
it didn't say that. I am interpreting it that way. But Cleo interpreted it some other way because before this vet bill became owed, you gave him a puppy. Now, you wouldn't have given him a puppy $900 unless you had some sort of an agreement.
We had a side agreement, Your Honor.
And what was the side agreement?
The side agreement was puppy to help with things such as taking care of the dog. He had actually gotten a puppy long before he...
Just a second. I understand that. I understand. Can I see in writing that he agreed to take this one puppy forever and not make the dog his? I would just like to see it, because right now you've breached the contract by not paying a vet bill. So what I want to see is where you agreement in April of 2019 that the one puppy that you gave him modified this agreement so that you were no liable for any bills for the dog. Do you understand my question? And if you want it repeated, Whitney is going to repeat it for you. Do you want it repeated? Read that back to the plaintiff, please.
Question. So what I want to see is where you modify the agreement in April of 2019. The one pup 2019 modified this agreement so that you were no longer responsible for any bills for the dog.
I'm not saying that I wasn't going to give him any more puppies.
We're talking about puppies. We're talking about money.
Or money. I
money.
actually handed him.
It says that you would take care of the vet visits.
Bonneville claims her cousin, Sky McCauley, owes her for the value of a puppy. Sky is countersuing for breach of...
It says that you would take care of the vet visits.
So I gave him this puppy in
April.
lieu of that. I took the puppy and gave him the cash.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, breeding dogs like this is more of a puppy factory than the care that you take in and not using them for money. Since 2019, have you given Mr. McCauley any money for vet bills? He's going to show me.
No.
The answer is either yes or no.
No.
Has he asked you for any money?
Guy has not talked to me since October 2019.
Okay. Did you tell her that you took the dog to the vet
Yes,
again?
ma'am. That was the last time I talked to her.
That was the last time you talked to her?
I have not talked to her.
And why is that?
I don't associate myself with people like her.
So I'm going to take this contract and disregard it because it sounds you knew as a pet breeder that animals have to be seen every year by a vet. He did say he told you about the first visit to the vet.
An appointment at my vet.
I don't care about that.
And
you have to understand, I don't care about your vet. This contract doesn't say he talked to your vet. This contract says you will pay the vet bills. Your claim is dismissed. Now we're getting to the counterclaim. Money losses resulting from a broken dog, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Okay, actual and punitive damage resulting from defamation of character. Now we're going to hear about that. Defamation of character.
So first off, you're on Facebook. And does anyone know if a guy named Sky McCully is here selling OEB bulldogs? The mom is a dog he stole from me, which then her coworker sent us to this saying, hey, you might want to look at this. It might be interesting. Her coworker seen it. And then we got posted on 9 different.
Does anyone know if a guy named Skull McCauley is in here selling puppies? Would that be 2019?
That was this year. He was breeding my dog without communicating anything with me.
That's okay. I don't think, Ms. Bonneville, that there's anything wrong with the question. Does anyone know if a guy named Sky McCauley is in here selling EOB puppies? The mom is a dog he stole from me. So you're calling him a criminal. That you can't say. That's defaming him. Okay, this is the way I'm going to move. Plaintiff first by not paying the vet bill, so she gets nothing. And you have Paris.
Yes, ma'am.
And Paris had puppies.
Never. Paris has been spaded.
The spade suggests to me that he's not going to breed the dog, and the dog is going to be a family pet. Probably considering your breeding program is a blessing, even though she should not have used the word stole my dog, which is exactly what happened. You have other things you want to show?
Yes, Your Honor. She went around town, a copy of my address as well as a contract on Bet's doors and telling them not to see any of my animals.
Okay. Well, we are going to give you an order that indicates that Paris is your dog.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Everybody's happy. Except me. Thank you.
I believe that it was absolutely unfair and unjust.
She's an abusive and neglectful breeder.
Said it was a falsification, and he got away with it.
You know what that's an example of, Sarah? Even judges bring pieces of themselves. We don't come with a clean slate. We come with certain feelings and emotions about things that are sensitive to. And I'm one of those people who were really sent puppy mills. And they both got what they deserved, and I hope that he got what he wanted, because clearly he wasn't going to use this dog tool for money. That's a very tough case. It makes me sad for all those animals that are bred in cages. Very sad.
Case 1017, Williamson. All parties, please step forward.
Frank Williamson is suing his sister, Cheryl Williamson, for the cost of tools and construction materials.
This is your sister.
Yes.
Your father passed away recently.
Yes.
What was the date of his passing?
I don't know. I don't know
Just
exact
a second.
date.
The date. My father passed away. Do you know the date of your father's passing?
May 22nd.
Of what year?
2021.
This is what the case is about. Mr. Williamson, that there was a time when you moved in to your father's house.
Yes.
And your mother was still alive?
Yes. My mom had a stroke.
What year did your mother have a stroke?
2005.
When you moved into the house, had she already been ill?
Yes.
Who was taking care of her?
I
You weren't living there yet. I said, when you moved into the house, had she already had the stroke? You said yes.
Yes.
Who was caring for her before you moved in? Who were you?
I'm the granddaughter of, I'm his daughter.
Okay, stand up. Is what your raised hand suggest to me that you...
I was living in a house until 2008 when my aunt moved in.
Okay, so you were actually taking care of your grandmother.
Yes.
Got sick.
Yes.
Was your grandfather okay?
He had a heart attack and he was recovering, and then she had a stroke.
Sounds like you had your hands full.
I did.
Did you have any other help?
My dad and my other aunts that lived in California at the time, they all came over occasionally to help out and relieve me so I can have some type of life.
Okay. Until what year?
Until 2008.
And continued to help take care of your grandparents?
Yes.
What about this aunt? Did she come to visit?
She moved out in 2008, 2009.
And is that when she came to live at the house?
Yes, and then that's when I moved out.
And your father was still there?
Yes.
In 2008. What's your first name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl. So Cheryl moved in, you moved out. She sort of assumed whatever duties you were doing with then, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I moved there in 2011.
Oh, well.
Got the dates wrong. Would that be right?
Yeah.
We were actually there then for quite some time.
I lived in the house since I was 5.
Did your mother live in the house?
For a brief moment.
So you were really raised?
Yes.
Now I got it. So you were raised by your grandparents, you always lived there, you didn't move out until 2011.
Yeah.
So their loss was hard. I got it. Now I'm creating a family picture. Okay. Do you know anything about the disagreements that started between your father and your Aunt Cheryl?
No.
You don't know anything?
I only know from the time when I moved back in 2000. That's when everything started to come to a head.
Williamson claims his sister Cheryl Williamson threw out his building materials, suing for repayment of a loan.
Tell me why you moved back in 2019.
My grandfather ran into a wall and he was unable to take himself places, so he asked me to come back to help him out, to take him and his friend to the grocery store on the weekends.
At that time, your father was still living there?
No.
What about it? What did she do in the house?
She occasionally cooked and occasionally cleaned.
Did you get along with her?
Yes, I did. I actually love all of my aunts.
Okay. Mr. Williamson, I want you to tell me what happened when you decided to move back home.
My father...
Don't tell me. Just a second.
Okay.
Don't tell me what your father told you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cross. Are you cold?
A little bit.
It's here. I like it like a meat locker. Some people get cold. This is your claim. Your claim is that you had discussions with you to get into, because I can't verify them. And he told you that he wanted you to live in a guest house, that he wanted you to build a main house. So you bought a lot of tools and lumber. And after your father passed away, your sister got rid of all of that. Did she do property before or after your father passed away?
Before.
Before. Miss Williamson, you went with your grandfather?
Well, yes, I live in the back house until the issue started to rise. I have a daughter, and I didn't want her to be traumatized by any of the family drama.
Very smart. Your grandparents did a very good job.
Thank you.
They did. Good for them, good for you. And Miss Williamson, when the property was disposed and your father was alive,
Right.
he was occupying his own home.
Correct.
Okie dokie. Now, let's talk about your counterclaim. Miss Williamson, I'm not going to get you further involved in all this drama.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Counterclaim.
Yeah.
Your counterclaim is for loans that your father allegedly made to your brother during his...
Yes.
And you are the executor of his estate.
No, I am.
You're the executor of his estate.
No, he's not.
May I see documents that you have? And I'd also like to see a copy of your dad's will, please. Thank you. Okay, well, this is an old trust, sir.
This is from the recorder's office.
May I see it, please? So this document gives the defendant power of attorney. I just want to know if she can sue on behalf of the state for this that her father made for you. So after you were granted the power of attorney, you went to court and changed the living trust.
Yes.
God, let us assume for the moment that your father provided you with a power of attorney to sue on his behalf, and that was 2020.
Yes.
When did you discover that you believe that your father made a loan to your brother?
My father got a $30,000 loan, gave him $15,000. But as I look in this checkbook, he actually gave him $17,000.
Just a second. He took out a loan.
Yes.
And he gave half of it to his son.
Right. And he
So-
said...
Just a second. And he's a...
Yes, but...
When did you find that out?
2019.
And so you knew about that in 2019, that your father had made a gift to your brother.
No.
No, just a second. You said your father gave him $15,000. He took out a loan and he gave him half.
Father to pay back.
I'd like to see proof of that.
He didn't have him to sign a promissory note.
Well, that's a problem. Miss
But
Williamson.
in his check, it has...
So what? I give my children money all the time. You know, it's so interesting that your father, who was clearly a lovely man and had a good life and accumulated some money and had a house, had 2 children who, after he's gone, are really destroying that. I don't understand that over some old tools and lumber and something that you cannot prove was a loan to his child.
Well, I only can go by what he...
I can't go by what he told you.
Well, I told my father you shouldn't have done that.
I don't care what he told you. This house that your father had just sold?
No, I'm living in the home right now.
Okay. And do you intend to stay there?
Yes.
And pursuant to the property settlement, did your brother, if anything, receive from your father's estate? Just either.
Nothing.
That's a number. That's a
Zero.
number. Sounds to me like you're living in the house that you didn't live at for a whole time. Where is your niece living?
She doesn't live with me. I don't know where she lives.
Was she living there at the time your father passed? That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Well, I moved out this year because I had to call the police and the locks on the doors when I come home from work. So every time I would go home, when I try to get in, she'll change the locks.
Got it. I got the story.
That's not...
I don't care whether it's true or not. You got the house. She'd been living there since she was 5 years old, and she's not living there anymore. She was, in fact, living there until your father died.
No, she was my mother. My father asked me, how do you think about Yanika moving in? And I want to be nice. I want to say no.
Okay. He raised her. Miss Williams. So is yours,
Okay.
Mr. Williams. You got a house? Is it in your name now?
Yeah.
Good for you. We're done here.
All right.
Court adjourned.
Would not want this fighting going on.
We don't get along at all. I don't get along with my niece. I don't get along with him.
I feel that family being here in court ridiculous.
I couldn't imagine fighting with any one of my siblings after not one but both of our parents pass away.
You know, there's a good lesson takeaway. He likes to think about dying. But if adults are smart, no matter how old they are, they should have a document that is clear and unequivocal, that tells their children, their grandchildren, their friends exactly what they want done with their property, so that we don't have in a courtroom like this. And I think that all of that can be avoided if people act smart.
Former stepmother Yvonne Rubichet for military memorabilia and the return of a Rottweiler.
Ice.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, sir.
Case number 1123, Lily versus Rubichet.
Thank you. This case involves the custody of a dog.
Correct, Your Honor.
The defendant is your former stepmother. Are you divorced yet?
The divorce is...
Okay, so she is still legally your stepmother, but was married to your father. You're in the military.
As of 2 weeks ago, I am a fitter.
You were in the military for how long?
Yes, 5 years.
What branch?
Marine Corps.
And where were you stationed?
I was stationed in Camp Penn for the first couple of years.
From when to when?
From 2017 until 2019.
And then?
I was stationed in South Korea.
From when to when?
2019 to 2021.
Sometime while you were in California, is California where you live?
Texas.
While you were stationed in California, according to your complaint, in 2018, you rescued a dog.
Yes.
How old?
At that time, we were unsure, and we're still unsure to this day. We were guessing around 8 to 11.
In 2018?
Yes.
Male dog?
Correct.
What kind? Rottweiler?
Rottweiler.
Tell me where you got him from.
It's Dog Rehabilitation Center. It's located in Escondido, California. We pretty much rehabilitate dogs that are on death row. Rocky was one of them.
So you rescued him from there. In what month in 2008? Who were you living with at that time?
At that time, I had government quarters assigned to me.
Was the dog's name is Rocky, right?
Yes.
Rocky was living in quarters.
So I had government quarters assigned. Oops, sorry.
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Where was Rocky living starting in March of 2000?
Rocky and I were both living with James, who was the founder of DRC K9.
Well, you had government quarters, but you weren't living in them.
Correct.
And you and couple?
No. I volunteered a lot at the shelter, and so he offered me a room, volunteered, did a lot of the work, and I essentially got to...
And when did you do your Marine Corps work?
Daily. So I would work, during the day, 8 to 5, and then from 5 to about midnight, I was shelter.
And I assume that situation existed until you were deployed to South Korea.
Correct.
In what month were you deployed to?
I left for South Korea June 2019.
So at that point, you had Rocky from March of 2018 to June. June what were you deployed?
13th.
So a year and a couple of months. Rocky was in your custody.
Correct.
Between March of 2018 and June of 2000, you always live with Rocky at the shelter.
Yes.
Now tell me what happened when you were deployed to South Korea.
So I orders.
In what month did you get your orders?
I received orders October 2018.
So at that time, in October of 2018, just a few months.
Yes.
When you knew you were going to be deployed in June.
Yes.
Okay. So what did you do with the dog to make preparations for your deployment?
So because I was already living with James, and he is the founder of the shelter that I had rescued him from, so I made the boarding preparations. He was going to continue live where he was comfortable with. When I brought up the plans of me going to...
Hold on 1 second. So you said he was going to continue to stay with James. He was most comfortable with him.
He was already comfortable in that environment.
He was comfortable in that environment.
Yes.
During that time that you were with the dog, there is some suggestion in your complaint that the dog was sick.
Yes.
When was that?
I can look through the vet record, 2018. So a few months after I'd adopted him, he needed surgery.
And did you do that?
I did.
When the vet did the surgery on Rocky, age?
Yes, they estimated it at about 8 to 10 years. So they stayed in the range that we were already at.
And that's in 2018?
Correct.
So Rocky might be 12 or 13, right?
I would say so.
Just asking you, do you know the lifespan of Rocky's size, Rottweiler? You check that for me, Sarah.
From my knowledge, it could be anywhere from 11 to 16 years. Some can go get as long.
From Rottweiler HQ, it says that they live 8 to 12 years around. Is pretty good for a big dog.
That's from Rottweiler. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Rocky's sort of coming to the end of his term.
Yes.
So right now we're at the point where you're going to Korea. You certainly can't take the dog with you to South Korea. I want you to tell me how the dog segues from the person who said he would keep him because you felt as if you were more comfortable there, to your then stepmother's house.
So when I had started, Yvonne and my dad were asking about what am I going to do with Rocky? At that time, I told him he's going to stay in California. I'm going to board him there. It's easier. And I know that he's going to be taken care of. At that time, Yvonne had offered, and she said, hey, let him stay with me. We're family. Let's keep it in the family. So if something happens, he's already here. Some thought, deliberation, and speaking with her and my dad, I did agree. And I said, okay, I'll be able to get him as soon as I come back and I have a place of my own that I can be, if I don't have somewhere to take him, I can't get him. So she had offered, and then I let her know, if you have any requirements as far as money, if you need vet bills, food, whatever, and I will pay it. She said, nope, this is what stepmothers are for. Don't worry about it. We're good. And then I continuously offered to pay for her throughout the time that he was with her. And I have that evidence if you'd like to see it as well.
So you brought the dog from where you were to month and day that you left Rocky at your dad and your stepmom's house. I want the month and the day.
June 8th.
There with him.
I did stay there for a few days, and then I went to go visit my grandparents before I had left, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to make sure it was going to be something that worked. I was gone for 2 or 3 days, and then I came back, and then I left for South Korea.
But the dog consistently remained in your father and stepmother's home after 2019.
Yes.
And the dog remains in that same place today.
Yes.
Blames her former stepmother, Yvonne Rubichet, refuses to return her Rottweiler and her military memorabilia.
Okay, other than that you saw the dog in 2021 when you went to the house unannounced, you have not seen the dog since the 8th.
Correct.
Between June 19th, 2019, and when you were discharged 2 weeks ago, I want you to tell me, other than when was the last time you had communication with the defendant that you can show me?
That I can show you?
From South Korea.
April 20.
May I see it, please?
Yes. It's at the bottom there. We had tried calling each other.
What is April 27th? I don't see any message there.
It cut off.
Well, I don't do cut-off messages. When was the last, let's see, between...
Then it would be the one above that, Your Honor.
Okay, and that was December of 2020.
Yes. Your Honor, if I...
Shh. You're communicating with her December of 2020, which was the last communication you have that you can show me. Your stepmother at that time, were you still together with your husband?
No, ma'am. We separated in September of 2020.
Okay. And I assume your father and stepmother had separated.
I didn't find out until October.
Who told you?
My dad.
Did he tell you that he had left the house?
Yes.
That's the answer. And that when he left the house, he left Rocky with your stepmother.
Yes.
So it really wasn't your father taking care of Rocky, it was really your stepmother. Just as... And the emails that were exchanged back and forth clearly suggest that even after your father and your stepmother are separated and you knew, you were perfectly comfortable with her having the dog. Because at the end, he's fat, but I don't know why he follows me everywhere. And then your stepmom says, okay, Sabrina, it's 12:30 over here, and I have to get up in the morning. I'm sleepy, so you have a good... And then you respond, good night. So... that was the last communication you had between December and June. So a 6-month period elapsed without... Do you want to tell me why?
So at that time, I wasn't able to come home because of COVID. I was in South Korea, so we were the first wave.
Tell me communication.
I have a text to kind of show what I'm about to say. She started getting kind of finicky when we would talk. She would kind of turn it against my dad, and she would try to... At that point, I had no control of the situation. I couldn't do anything about it at the moment. So I just kind of kept it light and positive throughout the rest of the time.
I would just like to light and positive. Anything after December of 2020.
So these are conversations, and then these are Facebook posts and comments.
Okay. Thank you. When was the last time you saw the dog?
The day that I left for South Korea, June 13th.
Okay. This is a post December 2020, and you say, hi, I'm coming home for Christmas.
Yes.
That was you. I miss Rocky a ton and want to take him for a few days. We're not too sure on the dates, but I can let you know over the next few days. December of 2020, did you come home for Christmas? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What date did you arrive home in December of 2020?
December 16th. I went to Fort Worth, Texas.
Who lives there?
My sister and my nephew.
How long were you home?
I was home for about 28 days.
In the 28 days, you see Rocky?
Unfortunately.
That's a yes or a no?
No.
Did you make an attempt to see Rocky?
Yes.
Tell me to see Rocky, because I'm formally inviting you to spend wine night or a day with me and Rocky, the three of us. Of course, you can take him for a day or two.
Driven down to Houston to go see him, because that's where he's located now. And then my aunt passed. It was sudden, and so I had to recoup and put all my family.
Okay. You came home for the holidays on December 16th.
Correct.
On what date did your aunt pass?
I could time.
But you didn't go and see Rocky?
No.
And you were home for a month?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you and your husband separated in 20?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have Rocky's vet bills with you?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them.
It's not cost for dog food. It's just...
No, I'm
just...
I just want to see how he's been taken care of. What kind of pain was he having?
Arthritis pain, ma'am. Most Rottweilers get arthritis in their hind legs.
Okay. I'm going to tell you the only thing that disturbed me about your complaint, because as far as I'm concerned, this is about the custody of a dog that you haven't seen in almost 3 years, who was an old dog and whose time, finite. You never know. Right now, he has arthritis and he's being treated for his arthritis. You did say, however, that you showed up in the summer, I don't know when, at Yvonne's house to surprise her. Well, that was a big surprise. You really came there to pick up the dog. You hadn't made any...
I did not.
You did not?
That was not the plan.
Well, I suggest that to you because you said, she was getting sort of not herself on the phone after she and your father separated. So, right. That is what...
Yes.
So one would suggest if things weren't great, you would have given her a heads up that you were coming. You hadn't seen her and be a fair statement. And it's just common sense. But then I look here and you say, he looked horrible. He was overweight. Well, and Rocky's vet records don't suggest that he was massively overweight, because I see that as in 2019, he weighed 106.5 pounds. In March of 2021, he weighed 114. People would be sort of happy with that kind of weight gain. So it wasn't that the dog had become obese. I don't know how much a Rottweiler weighs.
Well, for a Rottweiler his stature, he should be between 95 and 105 pounds.
Well, all I can tell you is when she got the dog, he was 106 pounds, which means according to what you just told me. So that was the only thing in your complaint that actually caused me some concern that he was not being cared for. Look at these medical records, and he was regularly seen at a vet. He had regular toenail trims. He was taken for treatment for his arthritis. Here's from the vet records, in any event, since you've been gone, that he's been very well taken care of.
Well, I would assume that she would, because that was our agreement, Your Honor.
No, I don't assume anything.
Sabrina Lilly has accused her former stepmother, Yvonne Rubichet, of wrongfully keeping and neglecting him. She also claims Yvonne refuses to return her belongings.
Okay, all I know is I have to make a judgment today whether, because of your actions, and I say this because I understand your position, but because of your actions, I can find as evidence that you abandoned the dog to her care. Because, quite frankly, I think it would be cruel to uproot him from where he's been for 3 years without you and put him in a new place with a new owner for the last sliver of his. We think it would be cruel. A really good mother would not want that to happen.
I agree, Your Honor, except she's not in the state to do it. She was drunk every other night. Like, that's why I stopped talking to her, because it's hard to talk to her. And then on top of that, I get maybe the vet records show one thing, but I saw him he has fat lumps. Like, he has 3 or 4 fat lumps around his abdomen and on his back.
A dog gets old and this dog is on the tail end of the spectrum of life for a large dog. I mean, I'm not a vet, but I've had dogs that are at life. He's getting around, he's being treated for arthritis, but they get tumors, they get sick. Right now, he knows your home. You don't know where he came from, what kind of abuse he had before. You rescued him. He was with you for a year. Then he hasn't seen you in 3 years.
It's been 2 years, Your Honor.
Actually,
more than 11 days, and I can prove that as well.
No, it's not 2 years and 11 days. You said you left in June. We're now, tomorrow we start October.
2 years and 11 days.
Not that night. I'm not talking that night. I'm talking about since he's lived with you. That's almost 2.5 years. And it's a long time in the span that just has a little sliver left. And what I'm suggesting to you is the tough position that I'm in, because is the dog yours? Technically, that you came home for a month and failed to see this dog that you want now to uproot from its home suggests to me that at that moment, seeing your sister and seeing your family was more important than going to spend a week with your dog.
The case, Your Honor, I was active duty military, and from what I'd heard and what I'd seen, she was using drugs and she was abusing alcohol. I can't be around that as an active duty Marine.
Just baloney. That's not what you told me a moment ago. A moment ago, you said you went to your sister's house, you were going to see the dog, and then an aunt, and that's why you didn't see it. So that's a lot of chatter, and it's a difficult place for you to be in. But I think you have to find another rescue dog. I've read here you really need a dog that you want to train to be a service kind of animal.
And if that's something that happens in the future.
Just a second. I'm talking, I've talked this case. I said to you, I have to find a hook on which I can hang my hat so that I don't remove a dog that is the majority of its adult life with this person. That home is the home that he's known for the longest. And I'm comfortable finding that hook with home for a month, and you were in the same state, and you didn't go and see the dog. I don't care what the reason was. If I'm in the military and I have a child, in 2 years, the first stop that I make is to that child. Not to my sister, not to a boyfriend, and you were home for 28 days, and so you can't have the dog back. That's my decision.
What about my military memorabilia?
Medals are yours.
No, that's not all my memorabilia. I'm $100 worth of pictures. There's a Texas sign with Lily on it.
Would you, just a second.
That's with her dad.
Would you return? Do you have anything else that belongs to her?
I didn't pick up anything, and you said I did.
Put him outside.
Sir, step
Put him
this
out.
way. Step this way.
Why?
They can make a laugh at the end.
Do you have anything else in your home?
I do not.
I'm sorry about him.
Moving company picked up all of my husband's belongings, which also had the big Texas board with the L in it, which actually was a present from her older sister to me.
Okay, but your husband's moving company picked that up.
Yes, ma'am.
I saw it the night that I went to go see Rocky. All of my stuff is still in her house.
That was in June.
Yes.
Company that moved your husband's stuff out. When did that moving company come?
I believe it was August.
Okay. Did you ask your father where your stuff was?
I went through it.
So the answer is yes. Do you know what she's talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
What is she talking about?
Her older sister made me and her dad a Christmas, a big sign of Texas with a big L in the middle of it.
Is that what you're talking about? Fact finder, that at that moment, seeing your family was more important than going to spend a week with your dog.
That's not the case, Your Honor. I was active duty military, and what I'd seen, she was using drugs and she was abusing alcohol. I can't be around that as an active duty Marine.
Just a second. That's baloney. That's not what you told me a moment. You said you went to your sister's house, you were going to see the dog, and then an aunt died suddenly, and that's why you didn't see it. So that's a lot of chatter. Difficult place for you to be in, but I think you have to find another rescue dog. According to what I've read here, you really need a dog that you want to be a service kind of animal.
And if that's something that happens in the future.
Just a second. I'm talking now. We've out-talked this case. I said to you, a hook on which I can hang my hat so that I don't remove a dog that has spent the vast majority of its adult life with that home is the home that he's known for the longest. And I'm comfortable finding that hook with you came home for a month and you were in the same state and dog. I don't care what the reason was. If I'm in the military and I have a child that I haven't seen in 2 years, the first stop's to that child, not to my sister, not to a boyfriend, and you were home for 28 days and you did not. So you can't have the dog back. That's my decision.
What about you?
Medals are yours.
No, that's not all my memorabilia. I'm missing about $300 worth of pictures. There's a Texas.
Would you, just a second.
That's with her dad.
Would you return? Do you have anything else that belongs to her?
No, ma'am.
Where is it? Because I didn't pick up anything, and you said I did.
Put him outside. Put him out.
Step this way.
Don't lie.
They can make a laugh at the end.
Your home.
I do not.
I'm sorry about him.
Ma'am, a moving company picked up all of my husband's belongings, had the big Texas board with the L in it, which actually was a present from her older sister to me and my husband.
Okay, but your husband's moving company.
I saw it the night that I went to go see Rocky. All of my stuff is still in her house.
That was in June.
Yes.
Okay. The moving company that moved your husband's stuff out.
I believe it was August.
Okay. Did you ask your father where your stuff was?
He went through it. I went through it.
So the answer is yes. Do you know about?
Yes, ma'am.
What is she talking about?
Her older sister made me and her dad a Christmas gift one year, and it's a big sign of Texas with a big L.
Is that what you're talking about?
And just with additional items, Your Honor.
What additional items?
I have 2 picture frames from boot camp, and then I have a frame that has like etchings in it.
Do you have that?
No, ma'am.
Was that sent to her father?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk to your father. We're finished here. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
It does. It hurts me very much because she's my stepdaughter and I do love her. I just feel like she's not ready for this dog and he's on his last leg. He's not going to make it another few years. I feel great about it, about Rocky being with me.
That was a bit of a stretch there.
And I guess it's because I really think that a loving dog owner would not, at this stage of the game, which is the end game, want to change for the next 6 or 8 months or maybe a year what this dog, whose traumatic life anyway, has been through by taking it away from really the only home it's known for almost 3 years. But for the fact that she had come home for that month a year ago and didn't make her way to see the dog, for whatever reason, gave me that little hook. You know, I really think that, ownership of another living would take some responsibility. You have to take into consideration that absent an emergency, a dog should have, a pet should have a permanent home. But I agree with you.
I agree with the decision, though. I think dogs have rights in this court, and
Well,
it would
they
be
should.
cruel.
They
It would
should.
be.
Are suing Army veteran Naomi Herrera for the cost of a Volkswagen Beetle.
Court coming to
Be seated, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 1071, CMP Cole versus her. You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Cole, you purchased a car from the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And you didn't know her before you purchased the car from
No,
her.
ma'am.
You purchased the car on what date?
5/20 was the first transaction. May 21st.
And you made the first payment on that date?
Yes.
And it was a Volkswagen Beetle, what year?
2005.
And the purchase price was?
Yes.
Ms. Herrera, when had you purchased the Beetle?
In 2018.
Who did you purchase it from?
A nice older couple that I found
That
on
only
Craigslist.
it was a
Yes.
very good car.
It definitely was.
You were asking $2,800 for the car or more?
I was offering it to a military family to bless them at
You need all the editorializing. You wanted $2,800 for the car.
Correct.
And Mr. and Mrs. Cole responded. I assume this is online.
Yes.
And purchase price, $2,800. I read your answer. I read their complaint. They gave you a down payment of $1,000. And you allowed them to take the car.
On the premise.
Speak not. This is just a general laying out of the case. They gave you $100. They were supposed to pay you the balance within a day or they're seeking the return of their $2,800 because they have not been furnished with a title to the car. On May 21st, 2020, gave you the $1,000. Did you show them a title?
I showed.
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Did you show them a title? Did you have the title?
No.
Did that you didn't have the title?
No.
Did you know where the title was?
Misplaced in my house.
So the answer is you didn't know where it was.
Correct.
When next did you communicate that you had located the title?
June 5th, 2021.
So between May 21st and the 5th of June, you did not, that you had the title?
I did.
You did?
I told them that I was getting a copy of the title.
But that you didn't have one?
Correct.
And you never?
Correct.
So they came on what date?
They came initially.
No, they came on May 21st initially.
Right. And they were supposed to stay the $1,000 and then $800 after that. And then I contacted them and I was accused of harassment.
Just a second. What I want you to do is tell me, now you have the title on June 5th.
Correct.
On what date did they come to pay you the $1,800?
June 5th.
On the same day that you told them that you had the title?
Correct.
Then there was a kerfuffle that I'll get to someplace else.
Yes, she jumped on my car.
Just a second. To give you the $1,800 before they had a title.
I expected them to pay according to our agreement.
Listen to me. They would be morons. Give you the full value of the car. You didn't have to let them take the car. Let's start with that.
But they have a bill of sale.
Pay careful attention. You take the car with a deposit only. You could have said to them, I can't find the title to this car. I'll take your deposit, which means I won't sell it to anyone. Then I'm going to find the title. When I find the title, the car is yours, and I'll give you the title and we'll exchange the money. You could have done that. No person would pay you the full value of the car without seeing that you owned it. Do you understand that?
I absolutely understand that.
It would be as if Kevin, what kind of a car do you drive?
Mercedes.
What color?
It's black.
It would be as if, what's your name? I said to Stephanie, come here, I want to show you this black Mercedes that I own. I'm going to sell it to you for $5,000. I don't have the title for it. Give me a $1,000 deposit. You can give me the rest. When I still won't have the title, I didn't have any right to sell that car. It's not mine. I don't own it. So nobody is going to give you the full value of a car when you don't have the title. On the 5th, you notified them that you now had the title. You probably got a duplicate.
Correct.
They came by to give you the money, $1,800.
Correct.
And they had said to them, because this is all from the papers, you said to them, I'm charging you an additional $280 because you didn't pay me on the day.
Correct.
And you think that that's okay? I'm just asking you if you think that that's okay.
Yes, I do.
It's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Do you have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the title?
I don't have it. I threw it out the window when she jumped on my car.
Okay. I am going to create an order, and the order will direct the Department of Motor Vehicles, because she signed an agreement to be bound by an order today.
Yes,
So I'm going to sign an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles that instructs them to issue a new title in your name has been fully paid for as a result of this arbitration.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Is the car running okay?
Yes.
Great.
They're driving it without insurance, MV.
That would be your problem.
We're not
Then you
driving
should
it.
have. Then today is September. Then you should have gotten another title and given it to them so that they could get insurance. Quiet. They need the title. I could write a bill of sale up. Excuse me, what year Mercedes do you drive?
13.
I've sold a black 2013 Mercedes for $17,000, signed Judith Scheindlin. You think that if they took that to the Department of Motor title to Kevin's car?
Along with the release of liability.
Doink.
Christopher and Paulette Cole say Army veteran Naomi Herrera wrongfully kept the title to their Volkswagen Beetle. Naomi is counseling and emotional distress.
Now, you have a counterclaim. And your counterclaim, yeah, right. First of all, let's start with the fact that you had no right to withhold off from them for $280 that you tacked on in addition to the $2,800 because they didn't pay you in full for a car which you could not title to. Do you understand?
I understand.
Now, what happened was that they came to your house with the money, said you can't have it unless you pay me an additional $280. There was some sort of your claim that your car was damaged because Mrs. Cole jumped on your car as you were trying to flee the situation in your car, because that's what your counterclaim is.
My counterclaim is for the emotional PTSD trigger and for that.
Yes, that's
what you just said.
Stephanie.
I own my own business.
You're not a psychiatrist, are you?
No.
You're not a psychologist, are you?
No.
No. Okay. You're suing for. I'm not making a leap between the damage to your car and triggering some emotional response without a psychiatric, without a witness. I want you to pay careful attention to what I'm saying. You're suing for two things: emotional distress and the damage to your car. And what?
Harassment.
Well, they should harass you. They had a car that they can't drive because you tacked on 10% to the purchase price of the car. Now I'll start.
I don't have photos of the damage to the car.
Well, if you're suing for damage to the car, you have to have photographs
hot
of
water
just a
on it
second
to get the dent out.
It's out.
Yes.
Fine. Then you have no case. You have no counterclaim.
I do.
No, you don't. You have no counterclaim here that I'm going to find is valid. If she jumped on your car, which is a no-no, you shouldn't have done.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand which is an absolute no-no. They came, gave you $1,800. Did you give her the?
Yes.
Okay, so now you had all the money that you asked for the car, and you weren't giving them the title. And in the heat of the moment, she jumped on your car, which she absolutely damaged to the car. I would absolutely award you on the counterclaim whatever it cost you to fix the damage to the car, because as angry as she was, have jumped on your car and caused damage. But if the car was not damaged, you have no counterclaim. All right. I will prepare the order directing Department of Motor in your name. Your counterclaim dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
She was getting away with our money. I didn't know if we were being swindled.
I think that nobody should jump on somebody's car.
I don't know this lady, so my instinct was to jump on the car.
She didn't jump on the hood. She jumped on the side of my dear life so that I didn't kill her.
And she seen me on the car. She just drove down the hill with me.
I absolutely had it. And when she jumped on top of my car.
When she couldn't produce it and then produced another pink slip, made me kind of wonder, who else is she doing this to?
No, I wish that it would have been given to a military family that really would have been blessed into selling it.
If this is what she does for veterans, then I would hope that she wouldn't help anybody else from this point on.
I thought the plaintiffs were very smart in that case to full purchase price for the car until they had the only piece of legal value that showed that they actually owned the car. And I think that this is also how it can get started. By your example with Kevin's car was perfect. You can say anything you want. You can draw up whatever you want on your own, but unless you have the sole document that considers
proves ownership.
That proves ownership, yeah.
Right.
Then I wouldn't give them my money.
Of course not. Of course not. It got done, and you're right. When people are someone, it is really important that you have proof of title, clean title to a car before you turn over any money.
All parties, please step forward.
DeRiso is suing spouses Susan Levy Connolly and Tony Huzar for legal documents, harassment, and emotional distress.
Mr. Russo, do you want to explain to me what a document preparer is and what training is required to be a document preparer?
So a document preparer is similar to a paralegal. There's actually no formal training that needs to be taken. However, I do have a PhD that deals in 31 years in service.
But you have no expertise in estate planning.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Tell me what.
I have a PhD in elder law as taught at 3 different law schools teaching elder law.
Okay. You're not old, right?
I'm 55.
I have food in my refrigerator older than that. This is what the case is about. The defendants contacted you because you are a couple and one of you was going into surgery. That would be you. And you want your young age, you wanted to put your affairs in order in the event that the surgery did not turn out well. And you contacted the plaintiff to prepare wills for the two of you. You on a price of $200 to do the wills. And you sent them a form to fill out, telling them what you want. According to you, they sent you back the form.
Yes, ma'am.
And they complained that the will was not consistent with what they had filled out in the questionnaire. So you redid it.
Yes, ma'am.
And each time, and it was signed, there was a filing fee, according to you. And then ultimately, they were dissatisfied. You wanted to put a period at the end of this. So dealing with them, they wanted a refund. You gave them a refund, the refund of $200. So now you're in the hole a little bit because you've already filed. And according to you, you think that they should pay you $8,000.
Yes, ma'am.
For return of money taken under false pretenses, service of lost income, and punitive damages for harassment and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie. So first I would like, Devin, and can you give it to me, please, the questionnaire that they filled out. Thank you. All right, I'm going to cut to the chase here. Did you get your money back, your $200?
Yes, I did.
And I would like you to tell me, first, since you're suing for an astronomical amount of money, what money was taken of yours under false pretense, what you claimed in here?
Nicole DeRiso says spouses Susan Levy Connolly and Tony Huzar owe her for legal documents and emotional distress.
I would like you to tell me, first, since you're suing for an astronomical amount of money, what money was taken of those pretenses?
For one, I asked them ahead of time if they could qualify for discounts. Okay. One of the, if you are a law enforcement officer, Tony and Susan both replied no. That's when Tony...
Mr. Russo, I'm going to refresh your recollection as to what you wrote in your... What you wrote in your complaint was, I normally charge $537 for the service, but Tony asked me for a same-sex discount.
That was her first one.
Just because they seemed nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's skip over police officers, military, everything else. Not interested. I want you to tell me. Can I just cross it out?
You can cross it out, yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Very good.
She did lie, though.
False pretenses. Services rendered. Okay, well, you already returned.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so return their money. Lost income and punitive damages for harassment.
Yes, ma'am.
And emotional distress. I am the only one who's in this case. So why don't you tell me how they harassed you?
So towards the end of us dealing together, Tony informed a New York police officer and a detective, and she was going to press charges on me, and she was going to sue me. And then she called me and ahead of time, because I don't normally cuss, but her exact words were, I will make sure you're arrested. And I told her, you are on speakerphone. And speakerphone, it was in hopes that she would stop everything that she was saying. And instead, she just continued to tell me how she knew where I lived. She told me she was going to, she continued to cuss at me. And I said, for what? And she said, and hung up the phone.
Okay, nasty, nasty, language nasty, this nasty. And
so for that following week, I literally was afraid. I know she's not going to put false charges on me.
Well,
because she's lied to that
this
point.
was just a second. In what day and month did you return their $200?
It was July the 3rd of this.
Then I'd like you to show me how they harassed you after July 3rd.
One was through phone call, and one was through the court.
Tell me the date.
The date was approximately July the 6th. And that's when Tony told me,
Who's Tony? Raise your hand. Tony, that would be you. Said to you.
That's when she reiterated that she was a retired New York police officer, detective. And she reiterated again that she was going to make sure I was put in jail. What are your charges? And she said, and hung up the phone again.
And then you said through the courts. How did that
happen? Through the
happen?
courts. I filed
for what?
For a pretrial conference.
For what?
For this case.
Okay, and was that continued?
Yes, ma'am, because they didn't show up.
Just a second. Hold on. Okay. Ms. Huser, the plaintiff has just relayed to me conversations that you had on at least two different with her. First, are you or have you ever been law enforcement?
No.
Did you at any time during your conversations tell her that you were law enforcement?
I told her, I think this is a scam. And I said, I'm a New York PT, just to my money back.
Just a second. So that was a lie?
That was a lie.
Okay. On what date did you refund?
First she said she wasn't sending it, and then she sent it on July 6th.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. She stated show up in court. Our original court date was August 11th. August 10th, we got an email from the court stating that she couldn't be available until the middle of October because she wouldn't be able to speak in her medication.
Do you have that?
Yes.
Let me see that letter from the court. Did you ever advise the court, Mr. Russo, to appear in court on the 11th of August because you had a broken jaw?
I had a...
That's a yes or a no?
That would be a no. I was dislocated, not broken. It's clarification, ma'am.
It doesn't make any difference for the purposes of this case. You appear in a case in which you filed, and you said it was adjourned because they didn't show up. That's what you told me.
Yes, ma'am, because you still have to show up if they don't.
Did you bring documentation of your injury?
Not of my dislocation of my jaw, no, ma'am.
You did not. Okay. Mr. Russo, I'm not going to let you waste another minute of my... This is over.
Thank
Your
you.
case is dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision. She lied, and it got all proven in court. Be happy and move on with our lives.
I'm going to tell you that they lied, and they lied multiple times.
She said she broke her jaw. She claimed that we didn't...
Because they didn't get it for free?
Well, now we have our new will, and it's all ready to go with a reputable, real attorney.
That is the bottom line.
That was the defendants had counsel. I would have awarded the defendants counsel fees because I think that the plaintiff, who should know better, of the court and suing these people for $8,000. And while I don't condone the use of abusive language or saying who's a lawyer or I used to be a police officer, it's not grounds for a lawsuit. And if the plaintiff is telling me the truth, is a professor at law school, so she should have at least some rudimentary knowledge about what constitutes a lawsuit and what does not. I actually think that it was an abusive process. And she's just lucky that they didn't.
And her mother, Glenda Bruner, are suing Ashley's ex-boyfriend, Chad Tennyson, for travel costs and Haitian package.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Kevin.
Case number 11, Ford Burner versus Tennyson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Ford?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is your mom?
Yes.
And she's technically here because she's part of a trip.
That is correct, yes.
You could sit down for a moment.
Thank you.
Please. You two dated for a relatively short period of time. During that time, you did one of the most foolish things that people do when they're just dating. Sort of feels as if it brings them together. You bought what timeshare, but this really isn't a timeshare. It's called a vacation package. That's what I read.
That is correct.
You bought it for 2 years, from July 19 to July 2021. Mm-hmm. Yes. And you're going to explain to me what it is that you get for that. You know, I allowed my mind to float, and it sort of had several places around the country where you could go and have a vacation and pay something, but you knew you were going to get a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, whatever it was. And they were nice places that you wouldn't ordinarily go. So far, is that relatively what it is?
Yes, basically.
Anyway, to make a long story short, the vacation package lasted longer than the relationship, which is usually the problem. And there was a whole kerfuffle about who paid and a trip that you were supposed to take that you say he canceled and that you had to make alternative arrangements for money. So that's where your mother came in. She paid part of the cost of that trip. So she wants to be reimbursed because you all say that's his fee. I didn't do anything. Nothing. Okay. So let's start with Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time you met when, where, and how?
Started talking in the end of May 2018. We met about a week later, June 8th, 2018.
At the time that you met home, you have a child?
That is correct, yes.
How old is your child?
She's 8.
And you, sir, where were you living?
In Boonville.
By yourself?
Yes.
That's not correct, Your Honor. He was living...
Well, she has Alzheimer's. I take care of her.
You were living in her house?
In my house, I was taking care of her.
Is the house owned by your mother or you?
No, me. It was just lived with me.
And she paid the bills for. Oh, sorry.
Don't do that again. Was that what you did as a full-time job to take care of your mom?
Yeah, at that time.
When did you first go on vacation? When you bought this package?
For the package, the first time that I used the vacation package.
No, the first time you bought the vacation, you went there in order to buy a vacation package.
The week of July 14th, 2019.
You hadn't bought it at that time yet.
Right.
You used to get these things all the time. We'll give you a free weekend or a free night, and then
That's
you
how
go
it
to a
started.
place, and they with a lot of other people, and then they show you a video. I've had these cases before. And then before you leave, you say, oh, that would be so idyllic again. Anyway, it's very good marketing. And so on July 14th, you decided to buy this package. Tell me about the cost of this vacation package. Tell me what it was. Do you have the contract?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Tell us before you signed it, by the way. I'm just curious.
Not well enough.
I'm just curious. I mean, everybody initialed every single thing, and then you both signed it. At this briefly, I'll have Sarah look at it over. How much did it cost for the 2 years?
It would end up costing $4,235.
So $4,200 for the both of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That you were obligated to pay monthly.
Yes.
Now there's points. You can use points. You get points. So what did you get points for?
So it was 400,000 points, and then each resort and each night has a.
So if you go to a 5-star place, you use so many points. If you go to a 3-star place, you use so many points.
Basically, yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Monthly.
The payment is $107.84 for the contract.
$107.84 a month for 2 years.
I'm sorry. There's also an $1,000 deposit that was included in that.
Okay, so I assume you paid the deposit.
I did. I paid.
That is not correct.
I assume when I say you, the joint you paid the deposit.
Not that day.
What day?
It was payment later as a credit card. We were not aware that we were going to be getting an $1,000 credit card that day.
So it wasn't a credit card and there were points and whatever. I'm getting a headache. It's so much easier to call and make a reservation at a hotel and say, I feel like going on vacation today, next week or next month or in 2 months. That's just my idea of freedom.
Claims her ex-boyfriend owes for travel costs and his share of a vacation package they purchased together.
Okay, who paid the deposit? You'd say you do. Mr. Tennyson, how you paid the deposit of $1,000?
I gave her the cash.
When?
November.
November of 2019.
Yeah.
Careful about this answer, Miss Ford. Did Mr. Tennyson give you $1,000?
He did not give me $1,000.
Did he give you any money?
Yes, he did.
How?
He's talking about $600. Prior to that, he had deposited $80 into my bank account, and another time he had deposited $75 into my bank account.
75. So far $755.
That is correct.
That he paid towards the deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
So you put in $200 towards the deposit. He paid $755.
That sounds about right.
Okay. Then you had to pay by month. For how many months did you pay?
I have paid months.
So you paid for 11 months, and the obligation is now terminated.
That is correct, yes.
And the timeshare is, so either somebody is getting sued or he paid the other months.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is it?
He paid the other months.
So he paid the other month. So he paid 13 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And the majority of the deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
In what month and year did the two of you break up?
July, about 6 days after.
So now the membership is paid up. You paid less than he did for the deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
And he did for the membership,
yes,
for the annual membership. So now I'd like you to tell me what you're suing him for.
Absolutely.
Because the lawsuit says balance of vacation package, $526.
That is the balance that was due after the May payment.
You pay that.
I'll explain. I'm sorry.
There's no explanation. Paid the majority of the.
I wasn't supposed to pay anything. After we broke up, I wanted the package. We were within our 10-day grace period. It's in the contract.
I guarantee you that you would not have canceled this package.
I called and
you can't tell me.
You're right.
You can't tell me if you can show me.
There's a 10-day termination window in the contract.
I'll look into it.
What? You broke up in July of 2019, the same month. How many times did you use the vacation package?
A total.
How many times did you use?
I was actually able to use it one time.
How many times did you use it, sir?
0.
You have any information that Mr.
He did not use it at all. He had said.
Don't tell me what he said. I'm still not getting what you're suing him for, because right now you have no lawsuit in.
I understand.
It appears to me that Mr. Tennyson has had zero benefit. He paid for 13 months. He paid the majority. So right now, I'm not seeing any basis for a lawsuit.
So as I said, Your Honor, I wanted to cancel within
I don't care whether you did or not. You went,
So
went on a vacation afterwards.
He said he did not want to cancel the package. He wanted to keep it, and he was going to be responsible for it. I have text messages and voicemail stating.
Just a second. I would like to see if that's the case, unless he acknowledges. Did you say to her, I want to keep the package and I'll pay for the whole thing?
Yeah, I said, yeah, 50 because she couldn't afford it.
That is not correct.
No. That's not what I asked you, sir. What I asked you, Mr. Tennyson, was, did you say to her, within this cancellation period, did you say to her, keep the package, I'll pay for the whole thing?
Yes.
I'd like to see. What date did you break up, Mr. Tennyson?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
No, you have to remember. You went on vacation on the...
Later.
Where were you when you broke up?
At the house.
At whose house?
Ashley's.
At her house?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We got into an argument and we broke up.
Tell me what the argument was about.
It was drinking.
Okay. When you had that argument on the 29th, you were fighting over his drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he drunk? Okay. And did he come home drunk?
Yes, ma'am. He came home drunk.
So you told him he had to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
He left the house within days of your signing this contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'd like to see the text message.
There's just some of them right there. I have.
Just a second.
Your Honor, there is a 10-day grace period, but it has to be submitted to Wyndham in writing of the...
Okay. This is in September. This is well after the cancellation period.
Yes, there were no messages exchanged right after then.
Right. So he's paid.
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid for 11, and he paid for the majority of the deposit. So I'm not entertaining that. What else do you think he's responsible for? Trip with your daughter, and someone canceled the reservation.
Yes. So as I said,
understand this: people who choose to live together, benefit of marriage, should not engage in buying things jointly. A pet, a car, a vacation package, a ring, a Picasso, anything, because 50% of the marriages in this country fail, and more relationships fail. So you don't know somebody for a month and then go get a vacation package. He did the right thing. He paid for at least half any of it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Great. Now, you say that you and your daughter used the points again. You went once and you were using the points again. From when?
Scheduled it in February of 2021. Our vacation was supposed to be June 11th through the 17th, 2021.
Say is, on the way there, you were driving there with your daughter to this vacation package, and you were advised once you got there that it was canceled?
We were driving. My phone beeped. I looked down, and it was an email stating your reservation was canceled. I pulled over onto the side of the road. I read that my reservation was canceled.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am. Email that I received, and I'll go ahead and give you the cancellation. Well,
No, don't give me a cancellation policy. Just give me the email. Okay. Reservation, they said, had been canceled.
Ashley Ford has accused her ex-boyfriend, Chad Tennyson, of canceling her reservation the day it was starting. Chad claims the cancellation was a mistake made by the resort.
Okay. So they said had been canceled.
yes, ma'am. So I pulled over to the side of the road, and I called. I said, this is incorrect. We're actually on our way. We're driving.
You can't tell.
Okay, that is fine. So
You got a notice that your reservation was canceled.
got a notice the reservation was canceled. I called and I asked what had happened. They told me, I won't tell
You
you.
can't-
I won't tell you. So that prompted me to call Mr. Tennyson. I asked him, can I tell you what he told me in that conversation?
Absolutely.
Okay. In that
He's here. He's a party.
Okay. In that conversation, I asked him how he could cancel our vacation. We're on our way.
Do you remember a phone call that you received from her on the road? Okay. I want you to relate to me the conversation. Be very careful to tell me the truth.
Oh, she just accused me right off the bat of cancel. I would call Wyndham with her, in which I said I didn't have a problem with doing that.
Did you call Wyndham with her?
No, because she sent me a text message and a tag about cancellation, so I didn't.
Okay. Did you, Mr. Tennyson, cancel this?
No.
He absolutely
Okay. Did you know that Miss Ford was going on a vacation and using the package?
No, I had
You got no notice?
no notice. No, I didn't know anything.
Okay. So the phone call that you got from her in June of the first time you had spoken to her in how long?
6 months, 7 months.
Okay. Now it's your obligation to show me proof that missed this reservation.
Yes, ma'am. I said that I would give him a call back. I would call Wyndham and ask that he would stay by his phone and answer. I called shortly thereafter, and he did when I sent the text stating that he had canceled it, or that I assumed he had canceled it, or was told. This is an
Just a
email.
second. You can't. All I want from you is proof. He's been so far relatively honest with me, and he's been relatively fair with you.
Yes, ma'am.
He's vacation package, more than half of it, that he never used. You and your daughter were at least going to use it twice. So far, aside from the fact that he had, or hopefully had, a drinking problem and no longer has it, that would be smart. I need non-hearsay proof that he canceled. He says he did not.
This is an email from Wyndham stating...
No, don't tell me what it stated.
With a screenshot from their system.
Don't tell me what... Would you bring up your phone? Give the phone to Kevin. Kevin, would you hand that phone to Sarah? Sarah, go to June 10th, 2021, 5:18 p.m. It would be Wyndham Club, perhaps. The thing that's interesting to me, Miss Ford, is that according to what you've given me, at 5:18 p.m., they claim that the reservation was canceled, and you were supposed to check in on the 10th.
On the 11th.
And you had made this booking,
Yes, ma'am.
so it was a long time. And within 8 minutes, they contacted you
I contacted them.
because violation notice.
Yes, ma'am.
So within 8 minutes of him allegedly calling them, they notified you that the reservation said, hold it, I didn't cancel that reservation. And the club said to you, I'm sorry, we already gave away that room.
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds such confined. Something here from his email account. It is beyond that within 9 minutes of receiving this cancellation, contacting you, all in that 9-minute period, saying this reservation, pulling over, calling them immediately, saying this is all a mistake, that they gave away your accommodations.
And I can't tell you what
Just
they
a
told
second.
me.
Oh, you cannot tell me what they told you, because unless she can find something in there, He's not responsible for your vacation. I don't find what he's... If I can find some communication with him, that's fine. This is still hearsay. And I don't have... Why?
Why wouldn't I
Why?
have gone?
Because somewhat of an experience between myself and family members and friends who have these club things happen, and there's double booking. There are problems with reservations. Defendant so far has been paying for 13 months of a club he didn't use, that you used, that he paid for 3/4 of the down, paid 1/4 of it. Doesn't sound to me as if he was a cad. So I'm not figuring out why somebody who hadn't spoken to you and would call and cancel an upcoming reservation that he knew nothing about, unless she can find something in his email. Then
I can prove that he knew about the vacation. Whenever I booked the one in October, I never told him about that. He knew about that because I have messages where he was telling me, enjoy the vacation.
I'm talking about the following June. You hadn't spoken to him in 6 months.
Right. I can prove a history that he is spiteful and that he is very vindictive.
Madam, this is not Dr. Phil. It's a court.
I understand.
And so far, I don't find any of his conduct egregious, or that he took financial.
There are emails from the 10th and the 11th, but none regarding the vacation package.
Nothing. And there are other emails there on the 10th.
Yes.
Okay. Did you finally have a vacation with your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And
Yes,
yes. Yeah. The case is dismissed. We're finished here. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
Never takes responsibility for his actions.
How she feels.
He denies everything. He is constantly goes to insults, mean jabs. He's like a child whenever he's angry.
Just a bunch of jabs. Just childish.
Please don't be stupid and go into any type of a contract with someone that you're not married to.
That defendant had thousands of emails there. It took a minute, but there was nothing from Wyndham. There was nothing from the date. And I agree with you that I don't think he would have gone through all of those emails as I did and delete just.
I actually thought what he did, continuing to pay without using the program, knowing that she was using the program, the lesson is never learned. Don't buy a dog. Don't buy a vacation package because you think it's going to. It's usually unsuccessful. It's kept me in business for a quarter of a century.
Former friend, Melissa Zavala, and her daughter, Faith Gray, for breach of contract on a car loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
A seat, please.
Hello, Judge. 159, Coley versus Zavala Gray.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're Miss Zavala.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is your daughter.
Yes, she is.
I'm going to say, do you know the plaintiff?
I had met him. I was having car trouble. My friend rented me an Airbnb because she didn't want to take me home. So he had renting the same Airbnb, and that's how we got. That's how we met each other.
In what month and year was that?
Approximately June or July of 2020.
20.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time, you didn't have a car.
I had a vehicle, but it wasn't operating.
So you didn't have a car. Having a car is like not having a car. And were you and Mr. Coley just friends, or did you have a more social relationship?
No, we were just strictly just friends.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I assume that you told him about your car trouble.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did Mr. Coley say to you?
Look
at me.
I believe that he offered to rent a vehicle for me. And
he said, I'll rent a car for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
It was very nice of him. How were you going to arrange to pay him for that?
I need to pay for the rental.
So why would he have to rent it for you?
He gets like discounts and with his AAA or he had some kind of promotion to be cheap.
What kind of promotional thing that you had that was going to be cheap, Mr. Coley?
No promotions at all. She didn't have credit, and she told me she actually drove down or got a ride to the rental car place, and she called me from the counter and said, "Oh, need a credit card, they won't rent."
Does that sound more familiar?
Yeah, that was correct.
Does that sound more familiar?
Yes,
that you went there and they wouldn't rent you a car?
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't have a credit card yet.
And in that?
Like July.
So shortly after you met him?
Yeah, immediately after I met him.
So now you called him you had just met him and said they won't rent me a car because I have no credit card. And now you're at the rental car place. Where's your daughter?
At the time she was out to high school. She was nowhere.
Okay, so you're by yourself at the rental car place.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happened?
Jeff came and
He came to the rental car place.
We were going to rent a Charger, but something had happened. He didn't have enough money in his bank or something like that. So he said I could use his vehicle. Then we went back to his place. We chit-chatted. I believe it was the next day that he called and told me that he was going to purchase another vehicle if I wanted to buy his car that he had now, which is the Altima I'm currently buying.
So another car, and he wanted to know if you wanted to buy his car.
Yeah, he was really excited. He was looking...
Just a second. Mm-hmm. He wanted to buy his car, and what did you say?
I said, absolutely, that'd be great. And he said, I know
Just a second. That's not exactly what you say. Continue. So he said, you want to buy my car. Great. Well, if you want to buy somebody's car, then you usually negotiate a price.
You're correct.
What you claim that you negotiated?
I believe it was around 50.
No, not around. When you buy a car, you negotiate a price. How old are you?
40.
When you buy a car, you negotiate a price. Even my 18-year-old grandchild knows that.
Okay.
That car. How much is it? I want $4,000. I'll give you $3,000. How about $3,200, $37,000? Do you understand? You negotiate a price. You're a big girl. You have a grown-up daughter. So you want to buy my car. This is what you're telling me now. It would be great. And what do you do about the cost of the car?
He said he was going to give me time to get a deposit together and sell the car that wasn't working.
The price?
I thought it was $5,500.
What do you mean you thought it was $5,000?
That's what he told me. It's $5,500.
$5,500 you were taking over payments.
Taking over the rest of his payments.
Just a second. So you knew his car was either bought and there was a loan on it.
Yeah, I just know that he told me you're going to pay me payments of this amount of money every month. And I said, no problem. He goes, get as much money for a deposit, for a down payment on the car. And that's what I did. I didn't ask if he was still financing the car. I didn't ask any of those questions. He just gave me an amount of what he wanted every month.
I believe that part of the story before you said, if I'm not mistaken, that was $5,500. I believe she used the word his payments.
I would be taking over his payments.
I would be taking over his payments. Well, when you take over somebody's payments, it means that they owe money. You would say, unless you're a real fool, how much do you still owe on the car? You mean you never had that conversation with him? Go a little further. So now in July, you have a car, his car.
Yes.
Did you sell your car?
Yes, I did.
What kind of a car? Old?
A 98 Honda Civic.
Who did you sell it to?
A friend of mine's dad.
And how much did you get for it?
I got $700 and I gave him $600.
Did you sell it?
I don't remember the date. I have it in my evidence here, though.
Take a look.
March 2nd.
So March 2nd was the first time you gave him any... Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm sorry. I read it wrong. It actually doesn't say the date here. He's the one that typed this up. It doesn't tell me a date. I believe it was like not even gotten the...
That would be in July.
Yeah, it was still in July.
Well, when did you sell your other car?
Like a week or two after, so in July.
Went along.
Jeffrey Coley is accusing his former friend, Melissa Zavala, of not completing the payment. Melissa says she's already paid more than the car is worth.
Okay, when did you get the $600?
A couple of weeks later. Doing $540. It was pretty good at nickel and dime.
That's your fault.
Yes.
If that's your fault. You're the seller.
Yes.
I don't know what it was, but that's your fault.
I was just
that's your being nice. And well, then if you're being nice and you're burdening me, then I get to be not nice. Records. Nickel here, $5 here, $10 there, and then you expect somebody with several degrees to make out of what you've created, Mr. Coley. Do you understand? If you sell somebody your car and you're looking for a different end game, and I don't know what the different end. If you sell somebody a car, you keep records. July 27th, $600. August 5th, $150.
Yes,
Sale price. Payments to be made.
That's
Do you understand?
Exactly what I did. All this paper documents, yes.
Perfect. You had this car, and there was...
Yes.
Who was the lender?
Westlake Financial.
And how much was left on the car at the time that Miss Zavala started to drive it?
Be $200 and change.
Let's be clear. How much was left on it? $4,200?
$4,279.
Okay. So first she gave you $600, right?
Correct.
And you have records of each of her payments.
Correct.
So you paid off your note.
No, the note has 22. It's a bank note. I pay interest. So she's taken over payments until the bank note's paid, which is roughly 2 years. She knew it was 2 years. It's the document she signed.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
And
so just a second. I'd like to see the document she signed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, did you have, or did he pay the
insurance.
So
it was
in
full
addition,
coverage.
just a second. So the payments that you made to him also include.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And this is dated 7/10/2020. Loan principal approximately $41.27. This payment of $3,000 as agreed, which you didn't make. Monthly payments of $245. Lesser forwards payments directly. Auto lender Westlake from July 20th, approximately 2 years or until the vehicle is paid off. Fails for around 45 days, she will surrender the vehicle back, which you did fall behind. You didn't pay the $245 all the time, so he came, took the car back. He took the car once when your daughter was working, which is your counterclaim because it upset her. Your counterclaim. Right?
Yeah, he humiliated her at work.
That's dismissed. Lessee is fully responsible for any damages. That's you. There were a little car accident?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a yes.
Yes.
Where was the damage?
It was on the side of the car, on the passenger side.
Did you have it fixed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not insurance?
No.
You paid to have it fixed. So I want to see what's left on the car.
I have the bank or the statement.
Well, then.
Your Honor. And here was the one for May. So I have today.
No, I just want.
No.
All I want.
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. All I want to see is what's due on the car. Actually, there's nothing much past. Your account is past due, amount due $603. But amount left to pay is $2,800, according to this.
It's interest.
What is left on the car is $2,800. That would be with interest.
If it went a whole year,
If
yes.
it went a whole year.
Cash today, or for example, it would be only the $22,000 or $2,100.
It would be what?
Whatever the balance says on the statement.
The balance that's left on the statement.
Oh, it's a tiny box in the middle left, far left, under the payoff progress, it says. It's hard to see.
Amount left to pay $2,079.03.
Okay.
That's what it says is left.
Okay.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. You signed this agreement?
Get it closer.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, I did sign that.
Very good. So what you agree to do is pay the car out. The car in your name. Who has the title?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
Oh, the bank holds the title.
Yeah, but you have the title as the bank with a lien holder.
Correct.
Correct. So that once a payment is made to the bank in the amount $1,000 to Westlake, $2,879.03 as of November, the car is fully paid off. So you.
No, the car's not paid off.
No.
I still have 1 year left with Westlake.
No. If the car is paid off today,
sorry. My apologies.
$2,800, car is paid off. Then her contract with you is fulfilled.
Partially, Miss Gray crashed the car and it was not.
I don't care.
Okay.
What difference does that make? She pays $2,800 today. It's going to be her car.
The car broke. Didn't break. It's a 100,000 mile car. She said roughly around December that she couldn't afford to do the maintenance. I said, I'll help you out because your daughter was.
Let's understand something, sir. Does this face look stupid? You think they kept me around here 25 years, 26 years because I'm stupid? The document that you gave me, look in the left-hand corner, says amount left to pay.
That's correct. We've agreed.
$2,879.
Yes,
so
Your
if
Honor.
the company,
The car is paid.
the
but
car
there's
is
two
paid
loans
for,
on the car.
and then her contract with you is fulfilled, she says, according approximately 2 years or until the vehicle is paid off.
Correct.
At which time the vehicle title will be transferred.
Correct.
Perfect.
Is accusing his former friend, Melissa Zavala, of not completing the loan. Melissa says she's already paid more than the car is worth.
She says, according to this, approximately 2 or until the vehicle is paid off.
Correct.
At which time the vehicle title will be transferred to the lessee.
Correct.
I'm entering a judgment for $2,879. The check will be made payable directly to finance.
But there's more.
And with a direction to the Department of Motor Vehicles, that the Department of Motor Vehicles is to issue title in the name of Miss Zavala.
But, Your Honor, the damage is not fixed. She lied to you.
What difference does that make to you?
Because I can't. If those loans paid off, I understand they're keeping the car. There's different ways. But see.
No, that's my way. And
no,
there's my way.
She could give the car back. And
she's not.
That's what I meant.
What I mean is,
there's
going to be a check cut to Westlake Finance.
I understand.
$879.03 as of November, with a direction. So the loan is fully paid. Done. And then I'm going to issue an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles to issue a new title in Miss Zavala's name, and contract with you has been fulfilled according to her contract. You want to read it?
No, I understand, Your Honor. May I speak to the court, please? Zavala called me in December and said, I would like to have you do some repairs and pay the car registration and get new tires and change the oil. And I said, you own the car. It's not right for me to have to pay all your expenses. So she hasn't paid registration since December. The police,
show me that. Show me where that is in your complaint, sir. Show me where that.
They only give us 2 lines to fill in the complaint.
Show me where that is. There's not 2 lines. Show me where that.
Court papers was 2 lines, yes.
Nowhere. The original court papers may have been 2 lines, but this is not 2 lines.
It mentions there's a loan, a repair, I believe.
Oh, well, just
I don't have it in front of me.
Show me, please. I may not.
Yeah, there's a repair loan on there.
Just show me.
Okay.
Just make a circle. I may have misread it. Just show me where it is.
On my auto loan and vehicle repair loan. Yes, it's at the very, very bottom. As a result of Melissa's late payments, I incurred fees late on my credit report, and it's 2 lates now, from a auto loan and a vehicle repair loan that she asked me to repair for her, and it killed my. I'll give you the copy of the just one more document to go with that. Let's see. Here's the repairs. Sorry.
Mr. Coley, just show me a paid bill for repairs on the car. Show me a paid bill for the repairs on the car that first Zavala's possession. A paid repair bill, and then give me back a copy.
Balance due 0. This is paid, Your Honor.
Okay, great. I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, this was in December.
Correct.
Total parts and labor not performed, $573. What is that?
What happens? Mrs. Zavala was not with so.
Just, I want to know what that means. Total parts and labor not performed.
It means it took 2 trips to the auto. I made the first trip. During that trip, I went to Mrs. Zavala's residence, did her a favor, and picked up the car because she was watching and get away. I dropped my day, what I was doing.
Just a second.
Took her.
I just asked you what parts and labor not performed, $570.
I'm trying to explain. I went, they do half the work. So Zavala meets the second day. I had to come back second day. So I said, Ms. Zavala, day. She refused to go the second day. So the parts I paid for went to waste. So,
listen, sir, $2,879.03. That is going to be paid directly to Westlake with an order from me that the car is to be put in her name. Goodbye. We're done here.
Thank you. We love Judge Judy, obviously.
I'm very happy with the judge's decision.
Well, the defendant was slow in paying.
I didn't want it to end up like this. I have nothing against him, but I just felt after $7,000, I felt like I was being taken advantage of at that point, and I had to stop.
Well, the damage.
Actually, I'm not even gonna lie, it wasn't my fault. I was going into the lane and I didn't see the car, so we just glided against each other.
It's not even close to fixed.
So she did get into it and paid to have it fixed with her own money.
I'm a fair guy. I say, look, you're 3 months behind. I'm coming to get the car.
He towed the car. I didn't even know he towed it. He just took it.
We all learn a lot things like this, but a good deed and then multiple deeds, those don't get counted.
Too much drama.
There was a sort of different end game that plaintiff was after, doing all those kind things, taking a car that he had already effectively sold to get and doing favors. And not sure. There's something off.
That's probably true, because if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. But there's something is so outrageous. That is when you have an original loan and you take it out and you really don't, that when you pay back that loan, even if it's in a relatively short period of time, you're paying back twice as much.
Sometimes even more.
Yeah, you're probably better off getting a cheaper car, as long as it runs, to get you around, rather yourself for a high credit loan. I would rather own something and build up my cash so that I could buy something and not have to have a % interest loan, even though I know that that's what makes the world go round. It's what keeps people poor, rather than allowing you to.
Friend, Timani Sperling, for car damage and an assault.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning, Kevin.
Yeah, case number 1182, Carter versus Sperling.
Mr. Carter, you and Miss Sperling have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
And based upon the calendar year, that child must be a little over a year old now.
Yes.
Boy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank God.
Well, you also had a daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And that daughter is not the child of the defendant, but with another, with whom you also don't live.
Right.
Do you have any other children?
Yeah.
How many?
4 total.
How old are they?
7, 1 and 1.
7?
Yeah.
And are they twins?
No.
So they have two that are
mothers.
7. Their mothers are different.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you have 2 7s
Ones.
and 2 1s, also not with the same mother. They were
Right,
not.
just one
twin.
with the defendant.
What do you do for a living?
I work at Domino's and I do the voiceovers.
For what?
It's content.
Explain that to me.
Like a TV show.
Okay, well then you're going to have to speak up and slowly, because if you do voiceovers, you want to project yourself, right? Live with now.
Currently live with a friend.
Male or female?
Male.
According to you, an incident happened about a year ago that involved the defendant.
Yes.
You each different versions of that event. You're the plaintiff. It is your allegation that the defendant assaulted you seriously.
Yes.
Injury on October 10th of 2020.
Yes, precise.
I'd like you to tell me your version of the events.
Yes.
She has a version that is markedly.
So October 10th, I was had received a phone call to go to a defendant's house. She wanted.
You got a phone call from her?
Yes. To drop off some money. But I refused to drop off money if I couldn't see my son.
Had you been having difficulty seeing your son in the past?
Well, prior to that incident, on and off. And then after the incident, it got better.
Okay. Your son was 3 months old at the time, according to what I read.
Yes, correct.
And the two of you didn't. She called you. She said, I need some money for the baby.
Right.
You said, I'm not going to give you money unless I can see him.
Yes.
If she let you see him, you were prepared to give her.
Prepared to take him with me, too.
Well, I don't know if did she want you to take him with you?
But that was my standards.
Oh, so not only did you want to see him outside of her presence.
Yes, precisely.
That's okay. I'm not finding fault with that.
Yes. I had my daughter at the same time.
So you had one of your 7-year-olds?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did she say to you?
It was more majority of the fact she didn't want me to, she didn't want to be in the presence of the baby at the same time.
No, you have to hear what she said to you.
I told her I want to see my son if she wanted to get some money. She told me, you're not seeing your son at all. And I had told her I was going to come over and come pick him up because we had prior talk.
Just a second. So she said you're not going to see him.
Right.
And you said, I'm coming over anyway.
Right.
Okay. About what time?
This is a little bit afternoonish.
Around?
12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, afternoon is also 4 o'clock. But this was about 12 or 1. So you went over there even though she told you not to come over.
Right.
And you drove over with your daughter.
Precisely, yes.
Does she live in a house or an apartment?
Apartment.
First floor, second floor.
But I also want to note, prior to me coming over, it was a day before, she had told me I could get him, so she had changed her mind overnight. Okay. So,
without going any further, is what he says correct so far?
No.
Well, then let's pick it up, your version of what happened just until that point. He says the day before that he could see his son. Then you called him and you said, I want some money. He said, I'm not giving you money unless I can see my son. You said, you're not going to see him. He came. What's your story?
So I had called him from work. I'm a chef.
and I was working at the casino. I did ask $50 to help with the daycare fees for that week because it's $200.
Okay. So you did ask him for money?
Yes.
Was this on October 9th or 10th?
I asked him October.
So you were working, called him the day before.
Yeah.
And asked him for money.
Yes.
And he said to you?
He said, unless I'm seeing you, he didn't ask to see, unless I'm seeing you, I'm not giving you no money. I said, well, you don't have to see me. My brothers are at home. You can drop the money off to him. I didn't have sex with your brothers. I'm not. I said, well, you could just forget the whole thing. I get it from my father. And that's when he popped up at my house.
The next day?
Yes.
Were you home?
Yes, I was. I was cleaning.
Okay. Well, but I got it so far. He showed up unannounced.
Yes.
Go. Your version.
To my understanding.
Just a second. Now you get to the house. Your old daughter is in the car. Yes. You leave her in the car.
Yes.
Alone.
I tell her I'm going to be right. Yes.
You left your 7-year-old daughter. This was in October.
Yes.
In what city?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Was she in a car seat?
She's old enough, so no.
So the answer is she was not in a... No. Was she in a seatbelt?
Yes, she was in a seatbelt.
So you left her in the car and you went to the plaintiff's door.
Yes.
Step by step.
Plaintiff's door, and she opened the door, and I told her I'm here to get Bryce, and she said, "Where's my money?" I'm like, "I gotta go see the son first." And she's kitchen, so she's at the door. I see my son, and she's like, "Yeah, he right there." And I'm like, "Let me get him." She's like, "Nah, no, wish you would step in." So I'm like,
Slowly, I have to make this mental picture for myself. Slowly, right. You're at the door. You lean in.
Yeah, I lean in.
You see him in the. You said, "I'm going to go get him."
She saw me looking like I wanted to go get him. She's like, "Yeah, he right here, and I wish you would come get him." And I stepped in the house.
She said,
"Yeah,
come get him."
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stepped in the house. And when I stepped in the house, she slammed the door behind me. And
how did she slam the door behind you?
House, and then slammed the door. And then next thing you know, we walk a little bit towards the center of the living room. And then I just got smacked and popped in my head and nose for a few.
She hit you?
Yes, a few times. And I started bleeding a little bit on the ground, on the floor.
Okay. Did she say anything when she hit you?
It was just more antagonizing me.
Antagonize is a word that doesn't describe an act.
Right.
So what did she say when she hit you?
She told me all that stuff you was talking on the phone, and I told you went.
What was all that stuff you were talking on the phone?
Right.
Did you know what she was talking about?
No, because all I had was coming to get my son, and she told me I couldn't get him, but from my understanding, you told me I could get him yesterday, so I was going off the actions of still getting him. That's all she was telling me.
So she comes over.
Yeah.
She lets you in the house.
Right.
Closes the door.
Right.
Meanwhile, your 7-year-old is alone in the car.
Right.
And she hits you a couple of times, causing you to bleed from someplace.
The nose.
The nose. And then what happened?
She reached for a glass jar, like a heavy glass, and tried to swing on me with it. But I had blocked her hand from actually connecting with my face or whatever predictive degree she was to effectively hit me with. You know, I threw the glass jar on the couch, and I ran towards the door.
So you grabbed the glass jar out of her hand?
Yeah, as she was swinging it, yeah.
Yes. And went towards the door?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I ran out the door running towards my car to go get in my car to leave her house. And I get in my car and whipped the glass jar, and she started.
You got in the car?
Yes.
Did you close the door?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I closed the door, had the window down, and coming towards the car, bashed the windshield in. And I'm like sitting there in shock that she blasting the windshield in. And I stick my hands out the window to try to stop her because she's like mirror. And next thing you know, my hand gets caught in the action of her bashing the windshield in and tore some tendons and some nerve damage.
And your daughter is in...
Witnessed me running towards the car right along with my witness here.
Oz Carter claims his ex-girlfriend, Timani, owes for car damage and an assault. Timani is countersuing for harassment, claiming Savaz threatened her.
Now, did you...
I made a hospital report when I went to the hospital.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the 10th, you went to the hospital?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Okay. I mean, this report, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Initially, the nurse says patient states his baby mama attacked his car as he was attempting to broke his driver's side window. And then the chief complaint, and this is provided by a physician's assistant, patient, that's you.
Yes, ma'am.
27 years old, 4 kids, none of whom live with you.
No, ma'am.
Nice. 27 years old, presents for an evaluation of multiple fingers and wrists. Patient changes his story multiple times throughout the history taking and also provides very vague details. He was sitting in a car holding a glass cup, and his girlfriend came out and threw another glass cup at him, and he went to protect his own glass, them to collide and both break showering glass on his right hand. He later states that the girlfriend broke his driver's side window, which cuts. He denies any alcohol or drug use.
Yeah, I don't understand how that nurse got my words misconstrued with me having a glass cup at the same time.
I don't know. There. Patient stated it occurred 6 o'clock this afternoon. You said it occurred between 12 and 1.
I went to the hospital at 6 o'clock because I had to drop my... This incident happened, and then my brother came and picked me back up, and then he took me to the hospital around 5, 6 o'clock.
Where did you drop your daughter off?
Back home to her mother.
What's that?
Probably about 3 miles. Not far.
Well, that's 1 o'clock. Then you're at the hospital at 1:15.
No, I went to the hospital later on because I had to wait till my brother got back because he had took my car to go drop my daughter off because he was in the car with me.
This brother?
No, this is the witness. He's a neighbor.
A neighbor of hers?
Yes.
Would you stand up, please? Tell me your name.
Brandon Kelly.
Mr. You know the plaintiff?
I know of him. Been around him, seen him a few times.
You know the defendant?
Same thing, seen her a few times around the neighborhood.
Do you remember?
Vaguely, but yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what you saw about 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
It was kind of a blur a little bit because the day before it was my birthday, but as I was outside, me and my friend...
Outside of your house?
Of my friend's house because it was her house. But we was outside, and you know, typically mom, baby dad drama, people yelling and stuff. But in this scenario, there was a lot of commotion. So I'm like, wow, like... So it just happened to see him.
You saw him being chased?
Yes, ma'am.
By whom?
By the defendant.
Where was he going?
He was running to his vehicle.
You saw that?
Yes, ma'am. Him running out the house to the vehicle and to drive off because I thought the situation was funny because I didn't know if they were serious or not because stuff like that happens all with the glass and stuff like that, but just typical yelling back and forth, baby daddy and baby mom drama.
Did you see what happened after she was chasing him?
After I seen him, she ran into the vehicle. Like, you know, I just seen something just getting swung at the windshield. I just seen him put his hand out. All I heard was an ah, and then spurred off.
He took off?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did she do?
She just went back to the house. Like, it basically amped up, upset.
Did you report that to anybody? Okay. Can you tell me how he contacted you today?
Through Facebook.
Explain that to me.
Basically, you know, things go around in the neighborhood. My thing recorded on her phone.
She had what recorded on the phone?
Well, basically had the incident recorded on her phone.
The friend that you were with that day?
Yes, ma'am.
So she recorded them chasing him to the car?
Yes, ma'am. Because she was out the window. Typical, like, viral moment, that's what I guess.
Did you ever see that video?
No, but she put it on Facebook. I'm not really a Facebook person.
So your girlfriend put the video on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am.
This happened a year ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you name she uses on Facebook?
I'm not for sure. I could probably look it up.
Look it up.
Yes, ma'am.
I also have the evidence if you'd like to see.
I don't want to see anything yet.
Okay.
Got it? Kevin, would you hand that over to Sarah, please? Yes. Just an unlikely occurrence that you can actually find that. Okie dokie. You have a whole different story about October 10th.
Yes.
And we're looking for the video. So before Sarah, who is very what she does because she's a millennial and that's what they do as a part-time job. Did you follow him from your house, a glass bottle in your hand?
No.
Did you swing a glass bottle at him?
No.
How was his hand injured on October?
I got the pictures to prove that he shattered my windshield. I mean, not my windshield, my windows in my living room, and his blood is on them, on the picture,
So what you're that he came over to the house?
Yes, ma'am.
On that day, because we all agree that he came over to the house uninvited.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me what he did, just like I told him.
Okay, he came to the door. It was open because I was mopping, so I was letting my floor air dry. He had came in the living room. I told him he needed to leave my house, permission to come in my house. My son was not in the kitchen. He was in the living room in his bassinet next to the couch. I said, my son's asleep, so I did push him.
Just a second. So you put your hands on him?
Yeah, I pushed him out my house.
Yeah. You put your hands on him?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get him out of the house?
No, he started yelling and screaming.
Okay. So you put your hands on him. He started yelling and screaming. And then what happened?
I told him I was calling my mother and my stepdad. And that's when he left. He went to his car, I guess, to grab a hammer and busted my living room windows. And that's how he got cut. The blood is on the...
He busted the living room window?
Yes, ma'am.
And after he busted the living room window, did he leave?
Yes, he has skirted off. And then I told my mom, because it's actually her.
What happened next? Now he's outside.
I threatened to call the police, and I had called my mom. And when she got there, we had made a police report.
I'd like to see it. So you called the police, no police report. And
when she had pressed charges against him, he had to pay restitution.
Okay. Just court documents?
No.
Were you arrested or taken into custody for vandalism of the defendant's mother's window?
Savaz Carter has accused his ex-girlfriend, Timani Sperling, of assaulting him and breaking his windshield. Savaz threatened her and broke her window first.
Were you arrested or taken into custody for vandalism of the defendant's mother's window?
No, ma'am, not whatsoever.
Did the police question you about it?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay for the window?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay for the window?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any proof that he paid for the window?
No, that was between him and her. So no.
Just a second. The answer is no.
No.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Where is she today?
She is currently sick right now.
So
she's not here.
No video posted from this time.
October 10th.
Yeah.
Do you know Mr. Kelly?
Actually, yes. I had got...
Just a second. Before October 10th, had you seen Mr. Kelly before?
They have...
Just a second. The answer is yes.
Yes.
When had you seen him before?
Him, they do videos together. They do music together. It's all over.
I'd like to see it.
Gladly.
Before she shows it to me, Mr. Carter, is that true? That you and your witness, Mr. Kelly, videos together?
Yeah, every now and then.
Every now and then?
Yeah.
Do you know that every now and then means that what you told me and what Mr. Kelly told me was not true?
Excuse me?
What do you mean, excuse me?
No.
Excuse me was, do you know each other? Yeah, I know her like I know him. Have you ever made a video with no, Kevin, have you ever made a video with Mr. Kelly?
No, Judge.
You ever made a video with Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am.
Ever sang a duet? You understand what I mean?
It was.
You got what I mean, Mr. Kelly?
It was never a music video.
What? Just a second.
Yes, ma'am. May I say something, please? The video-wise, like cameraman, we like, far as knowing him personally, no. Like I said,
he also had texted me on his behalf.
Just a second.
That's why I say I see him here and around.
No, you speak on this not making videos, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. That's what he did say.
That is what he said.
Yeah, that he's seen here and around, just like I see her here and around.
Mr. Kelly.
That said,
how it was going on, this is Brandon, which he stated his name, Savaz's brother, which is him. Savaz, he just got locked. You call me when you get a chance. This is him.
But I'm not his brother. So why would I say brother?
But they are best friends. He technically supposed to be his godfather.
Just a second. Just a second. I got it.
Wow.
Lie to me once. We're done. Do you understand?
Excuse me?
Mr. Carter, did you ever go and ask to be declared legally the father of this child and ask for certain rights and responsibilities?
No, I asked for rights to stay away from me, not the child.
Just a second. Do you see your son?
Not right now, no.
Well, not right now. Right now we're in court. Do you visit with him?
No, not lately, no.
When was the last time you saw him?
It's been a few months.
Where did you see him?
I took him to daycare and dropped her off back at home.
Is that right?
No, he did come and get me and my son for daycare, but we had gotten into an argument because he's not supposed to be in the daycare. He wanted to go in because it's family owned by my family. Kicked us out the car. He did not take us to daycare.
But you would let him
I was
come
in his
over.
car, yeah.
Yeah,
He
you
did not
let him. Case is dismissed. We're done. You don't bring a witness here that lies to me. Do you understand? And just like the physician's assistant said, he kept telling different kind of stories. He was sort of what happened.
Excuse me?
Two glasses, one glass, a windshield. If somebody came after me and cut me, sir, so that I had to have hands, guarantee you there would be a police report. Guaranteed.
I wasn't presented for a chance to do a police report.
You've had a year.
I was going through stuff with her.
Okay, we're done here. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
Court is adjourned.
I'm so happy because he was completely lying. The judge.
Man, just a bunch of bogus going on.
I'm pretty sure everybody saw that. His story kept changing.
You're just not seeing eye to eye. We was raised from different cloths. That's all I can.
About my child. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many other kids you got. My child is my main focus.
If I get to see my child, because I'm a family man, I like to have all my kids together. Big family going on with me and her, but you know, there's a lot of differences going on.
It's time to stay strong for my son.
For the most part, I just hope I get to see my son.
Perfect. The devil is in the detail. He told a perfectly credible story and then figured he would punctuate that story with a witness who added a few details to make it even more credible. And then you look up the detail, something that never one of these two geniuses that might happen. And you found nothing. You found her name.
Yep, her name and even a birthday tribute for no video, like you mentioned.
And the detail, well, do you know him? Well, I know him from around, just like, do you know her? Well, just the same way. Well, didn't you think she was going to say they make videos together?
Yeah. I think the doctor had it right the first time around from that report.
Right.
Inconsistent.
And another thing that my father used to say is, keep it simple, stupid. He had told that story. I might have bought that story.
Yeah.
It sounded perfectly credible. It was so foolish. Lucky.
Hello, xin chào các bạn nha. Hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn cách tô màu một nạ em bé. Đang đi chơi. Tiên là mình sẽ tô chiếc mũ màu tím này. Mũ màu tím nha. Bộ quần áo cũng màu tím luôn. Mình sẽ tô đến mái tóc màu đen. Sẽ tô bông hoa này màu đỏ nha. Mặt trời cũng có màu đỏ luôn. Đám mây màu xanh. Lá cây sẽ có màu xanh nhạt. Đây cũng là màu của chiếc bình tưới nước này là màu xanh. Mình sẽ tô đến hàng rào phía sau nhé. Hàng rào phía sau mình sẽ tô màu xanh này, xanh đậm. đất này là bên dưới buôn nâu. Bé có màu vàng nhạt. Da mặt đây.